So I just got so put off by the whole thing. I said, you know what? I'm not going to put my nose in that trough. But then I started thinking about it. You know what? Life's not a popularity contest, and I'm going to do, damn it, what I'm going to do. And if they don't like it, well, then guess what? You know, they don't have to like it.
Books. Yeah.
So I decided to write that book. So long story
I'm
short,
so glad you
I decided to write.
did. I was bummed when I heard you say that. I was like, no way. But yeah, I'm glad you are. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
I've been doing this since 2012, and I'm no stranger to controversy. So I was on a show, and I haven't been doing shows because I've been busy with lots and lots of things. And I said, you know what? After this Lisa Marie thing, I think I've just about had enough of uh, of what they're saying her cause of death was and everything. So that's what really prompted me to, when we connected, that's what prompted me to really get on the air. Um, Somebody said the other day, they said, "Well, if you've been doing this since 2012, how come I've never heard of you?" And I said, "You know what? I'm a B-lister. I'm the B side, and I want to be on the B side because people who are on the A list pay an incredible price to be on that A list. They have their manuscripts rewritten. They're told what to write and what not to write. They tell them how many pages that they need in their book. 1,000 pages, I think. A few people have said. People are busy. My books are 200 pages. Get to the point. What am I going to do with all those extra pages? So, I mean, I just can't be an artificial person to be. And I was naive. I always thought that. I always thought that the best written books were on the bestsellers list. Oh boy, is that not right? The
No,
the
it's not. They're
the best,
hidden.
yeah, the best sellers they're purchased. They're not written. It's just an interesting thing. So I enjoy being on the B side, so I can do what I want. You know.
I don't know about you, but a lot of times I like the B side better than the A side. So
What's cool is you get a chance to know the A side people, the A listers, and you would not believe if you could look into my phone the people that I know. You'd be astonished. I think even you would be astonished, and you could imagine quite a bit. You
right?
you brush up against some really cool people, and Lisa Marie was one of those people. Um, and I'm gonna miss her. She was pretty cool. She was a pretty cool chick. She was all right. You
I
know.
wish I could have known her because I don't know, you always look up to certain people, and of course she's the daughter of one of my idols, my first crush, even though he was dead already. But that's his daughter, and then she did her music, project and everything like that. And no, it would have just been interesting to know her. So I'm grateful that you had that chance and that you guys were actually friends. It's pretty
Yeah,
awesome.
she was pretty cool. I'm gonna miss her a lot. And I met her by accident. Um, I can't say, we were best friends. I can't say that. That would be a lie. I mean, we met each other by accident. We got along really, really well. Why? Because I didn't need her for anything, and she didn't need me for anything. I wasn't asking her to appear. She didn't ask me to do anything for her. We could just hang out and talk about barbecue, you know. And it was 2012 or 2013. I can't remember which. And I had a PR agent in Memphis who I won't mention because I fired her. But I had a couple of I had a couple of events down in Memphis, and I'd never done anything like that before. I was nervous as hell. So I had a couple book signings, and I was supposed to be on television 2 times down there, which actually came off pretty well. So my events are down there, and this was Elvis Week, which is the week he died. It used to be Death Week, and then they renamed it Elvis Week. I guess it sold better. So
Yeah.
I'm down there, and my events are close in proximity to what she was doing, and she had on this kind of salmon colored blazer thing, and she had a black shirt on, and and she was really hard to not see because of the color she was wearing. And I saw her from a ways away, and I didn't think anything of it. And we kept bumping into each other. They had this little bar set up, and I had cotton mouth so bad. I was so damn nervous. So I kept going over and I kept getting like a glass of ice water, and I bumped into her, over there and said, "Oh, hi, how are you?" And that was about the extent of it, you know. And then we kept bumping like smack dab into each other, and the second time it was, "Oh, hi, nice to meet you," and then the third time it was like, "Hey, Presley, leave me alone," and
Yeah. Are you stalking me?
it just got to be so funny, and but I think it was the third or fourth time we just bumped into each other, and the fourth time it just became hilarious, so I figured, all right, well, this is. And I said, well, it's nice to meet you. She introduced herself like I didn't know who she was, and she was like five
It's
foot
like,
nothing.
"Hey, you're Stephen B. Ubaney. I've read your books."
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. If only. And she's like 5 foot nothing. She's a tiny, teeny little girl,
Aw.
very petite, and man, could she pack a lot in that frame? When I saw her, she was positively gorgeous. I mean, you couldn't take your eyes off of her. I mean, it was like she could never tiptoe into a room. She just had that riveting something, you know, and she got it from both parents, I'm sure. And so I
Mhm.
figured, okay, well, that's cool. I met her and this is where it's going to be. Next morning, I'm supposed to be on television in the Fox affiliate down there. And I'm in the green room in the green room, which is where you wait to go on. And I call it the nervous as hell room because that's what you are. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching the monitor, and who's on television? Lisa Marie. And I'm like, oh wow. So that's when I found out. I guess she had a new music CD or album or whatever it is out. And I'm so nervous I can't even sit still. So I go, I'm like, I got cotton mouth, and I'm like, I've got to go get a glass of water or find a drinking fountain or something. So I found this little water cooler, and I'm doing shot glasses of water in a paper cup. And I'm sitting there, and somebody goes, "Hey, 2 minutes," and I'm like, "Oh, great!" Like I'm not like they had to tell me, right? So I compose myself, and I take another shot glass of water, and I turn and I look. She walked right in front of me. I'm standing eye to eye with her, and she says, "Who are you, and why do I keep running into you?" And I said, "I can't have that conversation now. I'm on."
"I gotta
So
go."
yeah, really. So um, I said, "You know what? I don't know, but I gotta go." So I'm on television, and it seems like I wasn't on very long, 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, something like that. And it seemed like hours,
I
when
know,
you're
did it feel like forever? You're just like, "When is this gonna end?"
actually the guy who interviewed me was a pretty good guy. Everybody was down there. They're very, very net. People in Memphis are very sweet, very nice. Some of the tourists aren't, but the but the organic Memphians are super, super sweet people. So I finish up, and which was actually a pretty good interview. And I finish up, and they go to commercial, and I don't know what they did after that. And I take my mic off, and I walk out. She's waiting for me, and she really has this busybody mind. She's a very deep person, very, very, very deep. She's like, "All right, who are you?" So we spent a few minutes talking and this and that, and I said, "Well, obviously, I know who you are," and that's how it started. That's how I met her. Totally big fate, accident, who knows? But that started, a friendship that lasted for a long, long time. And we'd get together, and it would be, it was like it was instant. I mean, she was so damn cool. You had to keep reminding yourself who she was, you know.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, whatever game you were playing, she had a card in that game. If you wanted to play the funny game, she had a funny card. If you wanted to play the bitchy game, she had a bitchy card. Whatever game you were playing, she had a card in that game. Very deep person, very, very, very smart, um, very rock headed. She was going to do things her way, and that was it. She
Yeah.
She
I can
definitely
relate.
definitely had her, she was gonna do things her way, and I think she got that
Mhm.
from us, and, she's just a lot of fun, I didn't want a thing from her, and she didn't want a thing from me. We used to gather and talk about barbecue and what are you doing later, and I have to go do this, and, we just used to hang out, I met some people in Memphis through her, and it's a pretty interesting ride. Pretty cool. She only got mad at me one time, and I deserved it.
What you do?
She was getting ready to go on. This is at one point throughout the years. And it was obviously the week of the 16th, and it's August, and it's Memphis, and it's scorching hot, and the humidity is sky high, and it's
Oh
raising
my
hell.
gosh.
It's raising hell with her makeup, you know, and she's trying to get this makeup right, and she's really having a tough time with it. And I said, honey, why do you wear so much? You don't need that makeup. I said, you're so pretty. Why do you need that makeup? I said, you realize that girls get made up to look like you without makeup? I said, you don't need all that makeup. Oh boy, that was the wrong thing to say. I thought I was kind of being
Yeah.
flattering. Yeah.
Yeah, she's
But
like, "Don't tell me what to do." Yeah, I get that too.
so then she got pissed at me and came over later and apologized for it. And I said, oh, honey, I was trying to give you a compliment. She said, yeah, I know. It was just hot and sticky. Uh, so fast forward
It's
to
so hard
January.
in the South. Yeah, it's so hot and humid. Like here, it's just hot, and it's not even hot compared to like Phoenix and Death Valley and other places, but it's hot. And when it's hot and humid, like I come from Arkansas and I go back to visit and I hate it. I hate humidity.
Yeah, it's
Thankful
oppressive.
for it because
We
yeah, it
live in
makes
a
everything beautiful, but I don't remember that as a kid. I don't remember that, but now it's like you get out of the shower, you dry off, then you have to dry off again because humidity. It's there.
Yeah, it's not a fun week to be in Memphis. I can tell you that.
Mm-mm.
And she loved the fans. She loved all that. She would spend time talking to people long beyond what her handlers thought that she could, or should. And she always said that being a Presley was a double-edged coin, you know. And I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "It's great to have all of this, but the pressure is incredible." I mean, she was on the board at Elvis Presley Enterprises for years, for I don't even know how long. And then she was a mom, and then she had her own singing career, and I mean that's a bunch. And
Yeah.
could you imagine? I mean, I can't even begin to imagine the pressure that would come with being Elvis Presley's daughter.
Mm-mm.
You
That's a
know,
lot.
it's a
I
bunch.
think
I
he
mean,
could take it because he was actually a twin. But yeah, to be a real life person and you're the daughter of this said person, I don't know. I think it was a lot for him too, but he took it with grace and he did really well with it for a long time till he didn't. Yeah, that's got to be so hard to be the daughter of King of Rock.
yeah. And Graceland was bittersweet for her. I mean, she lot of memories, and some of them were great, and some of them were not so great. She told me a lot of stories that I will never ever repeat, and I'll never write a book on her either.
Mm.
I'm not. I'm
Yeah,
not. I'm
that's
not going to write
personal.
that book. Yeah, I wouldn't do that to her. I wouldn't do that. I'm not that guy, and I'm not going to be that guy. And she told me some things that I have in my head that are going to stay in my head. But I had to tell you that to tell you this. I don't believe the cause of death. I think that yeah, come on. I mean, it took 6 months to come out with a minor bowel obstruction. Come on. That's not, it's, welcome to Fantasyland. There's a lot
Yeah,
of things that don't ring true. If you look at, and I caught hell for this because I said it on somebody else's show, but you know what? 2 words. Who cares? I'm going to say what I'm going to say. All right. I have, I looked at her on January 8th, which is Elvis's birthday, and the Golden Globes, I think, were the 10th or the 11th January, right? Those people don't even look like the same people. Not at all. Mannerisms were different. Um, height was different. Her hands looked bigger on the Golden Globes. I mean, I remember watching the Golden Globes saying, "Who the hell is that? Doesn't even look like her." You know, people have certain mannerisms, and the mannerisms just were there. But the mannerisms were there on January 8th. I knew for sure that was her. I have no idea who was on the Golden Globes, and I know I'm going to catch hell from that. But you know what? I guess you have to know her to understand.
Yeah, and there's been really strange stuff happening with really big stars and models and stuff like that. Even basketball stars where you see them in certain pictures and everything, or people go up and check them out like this person used to be real, now they're this weird like wax looking dummy. And these people are real, but they're so robotic. It's so strange. Is it, the diamond, the Illuminati that's taken over and all this crazy stuff that's happening with possession, etc.? Or is it something else? I don't know. It's so freaking weird. There's so many things thrown at you all at once. Hard to figure out what exactly it is.
And I picked it up immediately, immediately. And one of the things that I picked up, and I'm not saying that it was, although a lot of them do use body doubles, I'm not saying it was a clone or anything. It wasn't I'm not going there. Just didn't look like her. And the first thing that tipped it off for me, Lisa Marie had a very flat forehead, and the person on who was there did not. A very
Mm.
curved forehead. And I thought, well, how do you change the shape of your forehead in 36 hours? That's a little bizarre. And I actually took pictures of both side by side, and I'm thinking to myself, you can't get there from here. Something's wrong. So we have a group, a Facebook group, Elvis Who Murdered Him, and it's a great group of people. There's a lot of evidence there. A lot of people that I started the group with somebody in England named Judy Hunter, who's a fantastic researcher. And I put it out there, and of course, they chewed me to pieces. But I said, you know what? Don't care. Something's wrong. This does not look like her. So I don't know. And now, when the words of Muhammad Ali, nothing's wrong, but something ain't right.
Right.
That's how I look at it. So um, I'm sure that when I heard the next day or the day after or day after that she had passed, I didn't believe it. You have that moment of disbelief until someone gave the address. Someone gave her home address. And I said, "Oh boy, this is not BS. This is actually really happening." And it's hard to it's still hard to come to grips with. It's still very difficult. Um, she was she was really she was a very special person, very nice person, and I don't think that the circumstances surrounding her death
Less than 30 minutes.
are very, very odd. Very odd.
Sorry, my daughter is coming in and trying to get into the show. Um, no, but it is very odd how these things happen, what exactly happened. Like you said, her proportions, not only her hands, but her forehead look disproportionate to what she really looks like. So, when
Yeah,
exactly did the death happen? Is this a freaking cover up? I don't know. And
I
that's
don't know
been
if it's a
happening with a
cover
lot
up,
of
but
stars.
I don't know if it's a cover up, but something is definitely not right. And it's like I said, it's not that way because I say it's that way. Go look at it yourself. Everybody out there listening, look at the girl who was on January 8th, who I know for sure was Lisa. And look at the person 2 days later on the Golden Globes and put them side by side. Something's not right. I mean, even though Lisa had like very cute little mannerisms. She had cute little hand gestures, and it just wasn't. It didn't appear to me to be the same person.
Yeah, I
You know.
remember her doing a thing like with her neck where she kind of like, I don't know, it's like that pressure when you're like, this is not, you know, all the th- all the stuff that was coming towards her, like she'd like duck her head down Like, it was cute. It kind of reminded me of like a little kid that's, afraid of something. Um, but yeah, you knew her. You could tell the difference between the two.
And I can't imagine why nobody else is saying it, because I'm sure people know her a lot better than I did, you know.
And you know
But
what else? That stuff you sent me, I got back into it just yesterday because I'm like, I need to update myself. And everything but one thing was gone from where it was before.
what did I
So I
send
can
you?
only read one thing that you sent me. It was a few different articles from Yahoo and different places like that. And the first
Oh,
one
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah, yeah.
a 404 code. The other two were there's something wrong. We can't get to this. And there was only one that I could look at, but
Hmm. Well,
pretty weird.
really weird. Uh, like I said, I will not dig into this. I will not write this book. I will not do anything. But her enemies were very, very close. And in 2009, I'm sorry, 2019, she sued her business manager and her mother, according to the article that I sent you that you can't see. I'll print it off and send it to you. And
Thank you.
for $100 million, because she basically went bankrupt, and she claimed that the two of them were colluding against her to take her money, and she won. She won $100 million lawsuit against these people, and you don't have to look very far to find motive, means, and opportunity. And like I said, I'm not going to put my nose in this trough, but and
You
then we
gotta live
wait
with it.
then we wait 6 months for this ridiculous autopsy report. Now, Dr. Noguchi did Marilyn Monroe's autopsy report. I think it took him 12 days.
Oh,
Why did
really?
this one take 6 months? And here's why. It was bounced between attorneys, and it was bounced between um, agents, Hollywood agents, and Memphis agents, and attorneys here in California and there. And, they had to come up with something that looked sanitized enough that people would accept. And you know what? It's very much the same as Elvis's cause of death, although that one came out long before they even had the toxicology reports back. Um, no one's believing it. No one's buying it. I'm talking to people. No one's buying this. I don't. We talk about a lot of things. You know, if she would have had a bariatric surgery like that, I think the people closer to her would have known it.
Seriously, because these people are followed around. They'd be like, hey, we just saw her coming out of this, facility. She must have gotten something like this done. There was
Well,
none of that.
I mean, she got a little splinter in her finger one time, and she was telling me about it and how bad it hurt and this and that. Did
It's
she talk about a
crazy
surgery?
how small things like that hurt so bad, and then big things not so much.
Yeah, and it's just, I mean, I we talked about a lot of things. I'm sure she would have talked to me about that. So I'm not buying the bariatric story. I'm not buying the small bowel obstruction due to a bariatric surgery. I don't. I'm not buying it, and nobody else is buying it, and they shouldn't be selling it because they can do better than this. The toxicology report I actually could believe. That's kind of believable.
Mm.
The autopsy report, not buying it. There's something, like I said, nothing's wrong, but something's not right. And then after all of this happens, all right, she's she dies, and I'm still having problems with that. She dies, and then we have the lawsuit over the estate. I have no idea why this happened. The same person who just lost $100 million lawsuit to her is now suing for her estate, and no one can
Mhm.
find motive, means, and opportunity in this. Um, Someone had better rethink that and do some digging, because this is rotten to the core. I have my, I won't vocalize it, but I have my suspicions as to what's going on. Um, and it's amazing how money makes everything all right. If you get a speeding ticket, here you go. There's $100, Your Honor. Okay, well, everything's fine. You give us money. Money makes everything okay. And you know what? Made everything okay there too. And it's she would be horrified. She would be so pissed off. I just can't even say it
So with
without
her
saying.
dad, because he's like, "How dare you try to take advantage of my daughter to do this?" And she's horrified on her own realm.
I just I,
Seriously, like,
I just can't even. She would. Oh man, I just can't even imagine. But she was a very general natured, quiet sort of sweetheart. She was a nice girl.
mhm.
And to think that this happened is you'd have to create a whole new word. But I won't write that
We're
book.
saying
I'm not
6
going to write
months for an autopsy. Seriously? Like, what the heck? Like, my uncle, he was killed. They overdosed him. There's 2 different doctors giving the same nurse orders. So she OD'd him on fentanyl, and then they did an autopsy very quickly and came back with nothing. There was nothing in his system. That is false, but what do you do unless you have a ton of money? But for her, 6 months? Doesn't take that long, especially for a high-paid person, as is this one.
Yeah, I called. The first thing I did was call two um, medical examiner friends of mine. I mean, you don't write books like this unless you have access to professional people who know more than you do, and I do.
Yeah, you
And
gotta get the info.
I run things by them all the time. I don't know it all. So I run it. When my spider sense starts to tingle, I'll say, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And there was no difference in this case. And I ran it by two medical examiners who are storied medical examiners who I know you probably have heard the names, and I'm not going to repeat them. And they said, "Yeah, something's wrong. Something's wrong. It does not take 6 months." What happened is they, like I said, they had to come up with a sanitized thing that everyone could, have that exhale moment. Oh, it wasn't this or it wasn't that, because there were people out there. Sorry about that. Somebody's texting me like crazy and I have to put my phone on.
Oh, no worries.
Give me 1 second.
No, but I'm wondering, like, thinking what I've already been thinking and then hearing from you what you're thinking. Are the same people that were involved with her father's death involved with her death? Is this something totally different? And I know there's been people in power that are still in power since the beginning of time, as far as we as humans know it. So, what the heck?
Well, there's something going on with this, and I don't want to. People around me who are close to me know what I think. I don't want to put it out there, but someone needs to look into this. Someone needs to look into this because the elements of a crime are right there. And it's a shame now that she's no longer involved with Elvis Presley Enterprises. The Lord only knows what's going to happen. It's going to change everything. And there's a movie coming out that I wish wouldn't come out right now, and it's apparently Priscilla is who was Lisa's arch rival through most of her life. It was a love-hate thing.
Yes,
They were
daughters hate their mothers.
definitely two hard-headed females, but um, apparently she's putting out a movie about Elvis and teenage girls and this and that and the other thing. And
Dude, I just heard about that recently. Her
just
saying he's a pedophile. Okay, when you guys met each other and were dating, messing around, and thinking about getting married, that was a different time. My grandparents got married when she was 12 and he was, I think, 17 or 18. Different times, things grow, things go to a certain extent. At that time, this was a next step, the whole thing. Like, look at Jerry Lee Lewis and other people in this realm. His was worse, but I don't see anything wrong with that. And I don't think as, of Ellis as a pedophile. Not at all.
Well, this movie shouldn't even come out, and they're trying to get something on Elvis. And the
If
first
she
it
was
was,
still alive, they would not make this movie because Lisa
oh
Marie
my
would fucking
God,
sue their
no.
ass off. She
Oh,
would sue
oh,
their ass off.
there's no way this would be happening. No way this would be happening.
Mm.
Um, People also have to realize that when Priscilla came to live at Graceland, Vernon was made her legal guardian. This was as done on the up and up as humanly possible, and Colonel Parker wouldn't have hated any other way. And don't even start me on Colonel Parker, because I can't imagine anybody that I loathe more than Colonel Parker.
No, that guy
But
was a dick.
and he was really a piece of work. And did you see the Elvis movie? Did you see the
Yes,
movie
I
Elvis?
did. And it
Did
made
you
me
think
hate
about
that
my
guy
book
even
when you read
more.
that? Did you think about my book when you saw that movie?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you and a few million other people did. I won't even
Seriously.
go there, but um,
My favorite part was when he was a boy and he's, scurrying around like me and my little brother used to. Our mom was killed by a drunk driver. Our dad was trying to raise us. So we were just kind of, left to go about the winds and we're just running amok. And what he found as a kid as he was running amok, pretty inspirational. How that directed or moved his life to a certain stance. That was pretty awesome.
yeah, they've
But
been
yeah,
trying.
otherwise,
Yeah, they've been trying to get Elvis on something. Um, of course, if you're a white guy in today's world, you're not as good as you were, because it was white privilege, or it was this, or it was Black Lives Matter, or something. Somebody has to have something to say. They have to
mhm,
pick apart your cracks on something.
sign of
And
the times.
I am just so tired of this argument. I had the I had the I played the privilege of seeing BB King play.
Yes, you're so lucky.
He
I
was up
almost got to
here in
see him.
Buffalo. This was back in the '90s, and man, was this guy a performer? And the
Oh, he
guy I
touches your soul.
oh, he's fantastic. And the guy I knew actually knew him, so I got a chance to meet him. I mean, that wasn't a long thing, but um, fella can play. Very, 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 very nice man. Very cordial. Very good guy. And I said, BB, I gotta ask. And I said, what's going on with this Elvis Presley stealing the black man's sound? And he got a little irritated at that.
What? His soul was touched. He gained a certain spirit from everything he had witnessed.
And he
What?
BB
What kind
said,
of question is that? Can somebody slap that guy?
yeah. And he said, got a little irritated, not at me, but at the subject. And he said, I am so tired of hearing about this. He said, Elvis didn't steal anything from us. He said, Elvis already had a style. He was already gospel and country when he came, and he said he was curious about what we were doing, and everybody was curious about what everybody was doing. There wasn't this Beale Street Memphis sound. Everybody had their own sound. They were just out having
Well,
fun.
and it's not like he came from a higher place and he snuck down there to the hood and checked it out. He actually lived there because of
Yeah,
things that happened with his dad and stuff. He actually lived there.
yeah,
So who are you to say something against the way he grew up? Seriously.
he lived in Lauderdale Courts, which was the projects. He
Mhm.
lived in poor housing, and it wasn't that far from Beale Street. So, I mean, I don't know where this is coming from that, "Hoo-ah, I'm going to steal this sound and be famous." I don't know where this is coming from.
No, I don't think so. It came from his heart, and that's why it worked.
He
Instead of
blended,
saying he loved the music and sound of where he lived, and that's true. Like, you absorb certain things, whether it's good or bad. You got a good mix.
and if you listen to his really early stuff, like I Forgot to Remember, he's clearly
Mhm.
country influenced, clearly. And I just think he mixed a lot of styles together and came up for something that was something that He did, and it flew. And BB also said something else about this, and he said the people who were on Beale Street performing, they didn't even think about getting big. They were just having fun around the corner trying to make a couple extra dollars. They weren't thinking about being on record. They weren't really thinking about it. So Elvis in 56 makes that rocket ride to fame. And then in 57 comes around and he's starting to catch his breath because I don't think anybody had that catastrophic whirlwind rocket ride to fame that Elvis Presley had. I mean, only he
Yeah.
could tell the story and he's not here to do it, but he was the one who told some of the other producers, record producers, and say, "Hey, look, there's this one, there's that one, there's this one. You should go talk about this one." And BB was one of those people, So there's a lot of the people who ended up, black artists and entertainers who ended up on record because Elvis ticked the people off.
And wasn't it true, like, when he originally came out, everybody thought he was black? Then
Yeah,
come to find out, this is a white boy.
yeah. This is, I mean, you're dealing with a segregated South, and he was on the
Yeah,
radio.
it's so
He did
bad.
he did an interview, and he said, he was from Hume's High School, and everybody was just they couldn't believe it. Hume's High School, that's a white school, you know,
They're like,
really.
"What?"
Yeah, this is the white end of town.
Everybody's confused.
How is this boy, but it just bothers me so much that they have to they have to find something to say. They have to tear apart the cracks of this one and that one and this and that. And it's just a shame that we're there, you know. But
Well, and that's just what happens when you're on your way up. There's so many people that are miserable. They gotta find something, some crack or crevice or nook or cranny to, you know, tear apart.
yeah, absolutely. And like there would be no Elvis took us, he didn't invent rock and roll. He just took it mainstream. So we
Yeah,
went from how much is that doggy in the window to listening to, Heartbreak Hotel and
thank
breakneck.
God.
I mean, he was somebody had to be first. Somebody had to pierce the veil, and that was Elvis, and he paid an incredible price for it. But I mean, there'd be no Motown without Elvis. They weren't colored artists weren't getting. I don't know what's the right word. Is it colored? Is it black? Is people of color? We're not getting. I don't know what to say here. What's the correct thing? But they were
I'm
not
waiting on
getting.
what you say to fix it. I don't know.
They were not getting on record before Elvis. Elvis broke
Yeah,
this
and that's
veil.
when, that interest was piqued. Wow, I really like this music. I think it came from a black boy. And then they figured out it was from a white guy. So it opened up a whole nother stasis of music, musical acceptance.
It was a fascinating time. But I mean, here the guy's been dead for a long while, long, long, and he's still relevant. And it's amazing how you're still irrelevant when you have critics. You know, because if take a look at somebody who's been dead almost 50 years, an entertainer who's been dead almost 50 years, and nobody even gives a damn about him. But this is a movie that shouldn't be nothing good can come from this movie, and this shouldn't be done. Um, about
Well, it's just like the Michael Jackson one. Her and Michael Jackson were married, and he came out and said, "This is it. This is the end of the tour. It's going to be like 10 shows." And then he talks to his handlers, and they're like, "No, it's going to be like 6 months. It's going to be 50 plus shows." And he's like, "What?" He was looking forward to retiring, didn't want to fucking do this anymore. And going from 10 shows to 50 to 100, I couldn't even imagine.
well, one of the last things that let's go back on Lisa Marie since you brought up the Michael Jackson thing. Um,
Mhm.
one of the last things that Michael Jackson told Lisa was, "I think someone's going to murder me for my catalog of music."
See? Yes, for the Beatles and the people that are still making money off of him today, his manager and, like, developer or something, like, there was 2 certain, like, layers there. that are just still making money still today. Even though the job ended a long time ago, they're
Yeah.
still making money.
So the marriage, and I can tell you this. You have to understand Lisa had a tough life, and how she ended up with Michael Jackson is an interesting
Yeah,
story.
I mean,
At 9 years old, it was paradise lost. I mean, she sees her father dead on the floor at 9 years old. Welcome to the world, Lisa. That's a
mhm.
lot for anybody to handle. And I don't think she ever really fully worked it out. And then, of course, she goes to live with her mother. And her words, not mine, her words, and I think she came out with this publicly, her mother's boyfriend was molesting her. And then she rebels and she goes into drug problems and she has all kinds of problems trying to find herself. And they really
And
had
it's
a
all her dad's fault. It's nothing she did or anything that she was plugged into. It's got to be all her dad's fault. I don't know. I just hate
it's
that relationship.
really something. So if you can find a picture of Lisa Marie smiling when she was young, good luck, because
Hmm.
this is a very deep, very smart girl. I mean, she was razor sharp. She was a smart kid. Um, she just didn't, she was not having a good time of it. So she finally gets straightened around. She finally gets, counseling and whatever, because she's, like I said, this is a 14-year-old kid who's really having a time of it. And plus, on top of all the fame and the reporters, and I mean, it's a lot on any kid. So then, of course, she gets married, and it doesn't work, which was no surprise. Um, although it's funny that she never said anything bad about anybody she was ever married to. She never said anything bad about any of them. Really bizarre. Um, of course, the first fella that she was married to was a nice guy. According to her, he was a nice guy. Um, doesn't work, and she meets Michael Jackson and doesn't know it's going to go romantic. She has no idea. And then
Yeah, they're just friends.
they start realizing how much they have in common. And by her marrying Michael Jackson, that was her way of saying, okay, I can hide now. He's more famous than I am. I can just,
Yes, a shield.
yeah, I can run the house and be normal. And that blew up, didn't work.
Yeah,
Um,
it's very
of course, I
sad.
didn't know her back then, but I mean, she's really she's had a tough time of it. So I think that she finally got her head together and finally started to really mature. Her arch enemy was always her mom. They were always butting heads, um, and that didn't stop. Right up to the end, they were still butting heads. But that was the backstory of how Lisa ended up with Michael Jackson, and she ended up leaving Michael Jackson because he went off the deep end.
Yeah.
She
He
and she
caught on
never
fire in the 80s and then, well, some other stuff happened, but
difference between Michael Jackson and Richard Pryor. One got burned doing coke, and the other got burned doing Pepsi.
that's right. I'd rather do coke.
But
But on that note, we do have to go to our first music break. So on this break, we have King Cinnamon from Biafra, Nigeria, with Fantastic and Al Imo Adarella. And then we have Hosni Bronx. He originally comes from Jamaica, but he also lives in the Bronx of New York, which kind of explains the name. You guys sit back, relax, maybe break out a pina colada. It's going to be a good music break. We'll be back here in about 15 minutes. See you soon.
We swap on the
Okay, so we'll be back in that time frame. Get something to eat, drink, and see you soon.
Come on, let's call it a holiday. Anything you want, baby, I will pay. Take a bam bam anywhere you day. Throw your bam bam, it is a Friday. Come on, let's go, it is a holiday. Anything you want, baby, I will pay. Fantastic. Baby girl, you romantic. Fantastic. Baby girl, you romantic. Gucci Prada, baby, gather something. Come on closer, baby, gather 19. I know you better, but I am the king. Your backside bigger than Bombay. Baby girl, brokotum. I like the way you whine your brokotum. Baby girl, brokotum. I like the way you whine your brokotum. Jamaica, Ghana, shout out to the ladies in Asia, Nigeria, South Africa. Say we love you. Please me, baby. Yeah. Turn up from you. Yeah. Take your bam bam anywhere you day. Play your bam bam if it's a Friday. Come on, let's call it a holiday. Anything you want, baby, I will pay. Take your bam bam anywhere you day. Play your bam bam if it's a Friday. Come on, let's go, it's a holiday. Anything you want, baby, I will pay. Fantastic. Baby girl, you romantic. Fantastic. Baby girl, you romantic. Give me love. Show me love. Oh, give me love. We want you, we love you. Give me love. Oh, give me love. Hey, please me, baby. Oh. Yeah, turn up from you. Yeah. Take your bam bam anywhere you day. Throw your bam bam if it's a Friday. Come on, let's go, it is a holiday. Anything you want, baby, I will pay. Take your bam bam anywhere you day. Throw your bam bam if it's a Friday. Come on, let's go, it is a holiday. Anything you want, baby, I will pay. Fantastic. Baby girl, you romantic. Fantastic. Baby girl, you romantic. King Cinnamon. You know what I'm saying?
We stop on the mix. Lift it up. We stop on the beat.
Can you kelechi neke mapana limo bundenje mono? Can you kelonye uwa imapana limo bundenje mono? Alimo, Alime Kerelo, Alimo State, Alime Kerelo, Alime State, Alime Kerelo, Democracy Kerelo, Ndime Meriela, Alime Kerelo, Alimo State, Alime Kerelo, Democracy Kerelo. Ndime Meriela, Alika Marama, Ebere Marama, Obana Marama, Esledi Marama, Excellence, Emeka Hidyo Amma, Emeka Hidyo Amma, Omenka Unanya Hidyo Amma, Omenka Unanya Wa, Emeka Neki Modima, Emeka Neki Modima, Emeka put on no boy. Oh yeah. Wa wulienu. Emeka put on no boy. O come adima. We me wen poso. Emeka Neki Modima. Emeka Neki Modima. Ndem jejembo, mwan jejembo. Ndem jemano, deputy governor Imo State Chilike. Gerard Ronna Karaka. Wokoma dimma kwarabo. Deputy governor wele dere gimma. Alukuta dere gimma. Alimo State dere gimma. Ala Nigeria mara gimma. Onye jemano. Standing one muche karaka. Onye babamba. President Good Life Foundation Chilike. President General. Senate Group of Companies, President General, Financial Master Karaka, Alo Were Diregima, Alam Bise Diregima, Alimo State Diregima, Ala Nigeria Maragima, Onye Jemano, Frankie Nate Shiriko, Pepe Arabido Hotels, ABC Transport Karaka. Alo Were Diregima, Alam Bise Diregima, Alimo State Diregima, Ala Nigeria Maragima, Uchonya Kochande, Uchonya Kochande, Honorable Mokomadima, Onye Horonia Gilea, Mawugi, Ginando Tugio, Mawunule, Tijigari Junala, Imo State, Mawugi, Ginando Tugio, Mawunule, Minigalizonala, Imo State, Alo Were Diregima, Alo Were Diregima, Alimo State Diregima, Ala Nigeria Maragima, the German, Orange Limited, Jisa Anthony Ifani Chukun to business and Ishirike, Ikenga Dijele, pride of his people, most standing one, Okoma Marama, Iborabo, Alo Were Diregima, Alija Diregima, Alimo State Diregima, Ala Nigeria Maragima, Honorable Jowagu Shirike, Honorable Bina Shirike. Jere Labosa Shirike, Otukpo Kereke Shirike, Otahu Be Shirike, Injina Benina Shirike, Onyamana Construction, Okoma Dema Ikaraka, Onya Shiwara Heborani, Dejebu Imarama, Okoma Jembo, Okoma Dema Ikaraka, Quiz Populare, Ibo Felamo, Onyamana Pito, Akana Kompa, Ikaraka, Eziwa Mama, Mr. Ludwiliwa, Okome Jemba, CEO Mr. Ventures, Ikaraka, Democracy Merielo, Ndime Merielo. Democracy Merielo, Ndime Merielo, Alime Gerelo, Alime Gerelo. Thank God I'm from Imo State. Emeka has come to rejuvenate Imo State. Make you jubilate, make you celebrate. Emeka Shikwen say, this one no be say them say. Emeka has come to rejuvenate Imo State. Celebrate, make you jubilate. Ala mekele His Excellency Achikudenwa. Mekele kwa His Excellency Dr. Hakim. Yemaka Right Honorable PDK. Mekele kwa Right Honorable Jones Oyereri. Ala mekele Senator Onyebuchi Mr. Empowerment. Mekele kwa Right Honorable Emeka Chinedu. Umo mimo lowali biameziena Alimo. Alima Adilama.
Cliffito.
Why Babylon, you want our fire? Our fire. Why Babylon, you want our world needs peace, the world needs love. Human dance around the clock. The world needs peace, the world needs love. Human want rescue humanity. You want my rage, you want my strength, you want my love, you want my heart. Yeah, my heart. Why Babylon, you want our fire? Our fire. Why Babylon, you want our hunger? Oh my God, rescue my people. Give me your love, give me the love. Let your heart be your guide. A new world full of love. A new world we come above. A place where we all feel good inside. Protect humanity. We have to save people from poverty. We don't want your frustration. We don't want your illusion. We don't want your education. We don't want your frustration. You men move up, rescue your history. We celebrate the love coming from God. We celebrate the conquer of Judah love. Rasta dance as a lion in this place full of positive vibe. Yeah, Rasta dance for our nation. Hey. You are my rage, you are my strength, you are my love, you are my heart. Rasta rose as a lion. Selassie I only Mount Zion. Oh people are irate. In this place we have the fire. Dance, reggae music come from Jah. Dance, around this place, Rasta. Dance, it's our chance to unite and chant the word. People in love, people in love, people in love, people in love. Yeah, human want to protect humanity. We have to save people from poverty. We don't want your frustration. We don't want your ambush, Babylon.
I'm not hearing you. I think you might be having technical problems.
You're right. Thank you for the thumbs up and the heads up.
There we go. Now I got you.
Welcome back. Long story short. Yeah, so it's been pretty awesome so far, and there's so much more we're going to delve into tonight. But yeah, both the Elvis and Lisa Marie to me are very, very sad happenings. There's so much stuff like this going on all over Hollywood, even before it was known as such, and it's just insanity.
I just popped you something up in Facebook Messenger, so you can check that out.
Alrighty. So waiting for that to pull up. In the meantime, holy shnikes.
Seeing is believing sometimes. Anyway.
Yeah, seriously. Like, even if she did get something done with her hair, you know how guys do that for balding. Perhaps females would do that too. But no, like, still the shape of the head is different. Even
Totally
if she did put hair up here, it goes back at a lower slope.
Yeah. There's something radically wrong. But I don't want to be called a conspiracy theorist, so I'm going to let that go. But you can send that to whoever you deem worthy. So we've been talking all this time, and we haven't talked about these two pilots that I have in the pipeline coming up, because my books are interesting, and they've attracted the attention of a few people in the filmmaking world. And
Nice.
I'm sorry?
I said nice. That's awesome when that happens.
Well, I don't know. We'll see how nice it is. It's a challenge, that's for sure. But the first person got a hold of me, and they read my books, and they said, I was on Coast to Coast. Like, I think I've been like 5 times. Once with George Norrie, and the other times with other people. And somebody who, had the connection read one book and then another book and another book, and they said, you know what? There's really pretty interesting books. Have you ever thought of doing a series on them? And I said, well, I kind of thought it'd be nice to do, but no, I haven't. I've entertained the idea, but I haven't pursued it at all. It just hasn't, So that's where we are. We're filming a pilot for that. And we have a fella involved that's a show host that is someone from Coast to Coast. I won't mention who it
Nice.
is.
Says not William Shatpants. I was so disappointed in him recently when they're talking about UFOs and stuff, and he's like, this is just nonsense. And I'm like, go back to bed, William Shatpants. We're talking about alien and UFOs over here. But no, this stuff is really happening. But yeah, it's pretty intriguing what's going on. Like you said, don't get a big head at first and just see where it goes, and perhaps something will happen.
Yeah, I'm, at this age, I'm pretty well formed. So I'm not going to morph into something else. I mean, if this thing is a great success, great. It'd be a great success. If this thing is not a success at all, I'm going to be the same person. But it'd be nice to see the capstone project, So Diana, I was done. I wasn't writing any more books. I wanted my life back,
That was a lot. I could imagine how draining that would be.
I mean, because I do everything myself. I research, I write. I don't have anybody else somebody else does my covers, but I'm not going to do my covers, but so, I mean, there are thousands and thousands of hours of writing and research that go into one book. And, I was burned out. So they got a hold of me and they said, would you think about doing the series? And I said, well, if it turns out that way, it turns out that way. And they said, we're going to need more content. And they said, would you think about doing 5 more books? And I'm thinking, oh man, 5 more books. So that was the catalyst. I was done. That was the catalyst behind me doing Tesla, JFK, and I'm not going to tell you who's coming next, but there are 5 coming, total of 5, not 5 more. And the only reason I'm writing these is because they want more. they want more content for the show, so there's going to be quite a few coming. So I thought I was done.
I'm so excited because I thought you were like, I'm done. Stick a fork in me. I'm like, no, don't do it, Steve. And here you go. Get me all excited again. I'm just like, oh, I can't wait for these books. I'm especially excited about the Tesla one. And oh no.
Tesla is an interesting subject. Very, very interesting. So I'm in competition with Don Jeffries. You know Donald Jeffries? He's got his own
No.
show. Don Jeffries is out there. He's one of the hardest working podcasters out there, and we're in competition with each other.
I'm sorry, I don't know him, but I know you, so that's got to say something.
Don Jeffries is we're in competition with each other. He has like 6 books out, and I have 4 at the moment. So we're trying to see, and he keeps coming out with more and more books. So we're trying to see who can beat each other. So whatever he does, I have to do more of. So it's a friendly competition. Don's a great guy.
So whatever he does, you can do better.
Yeah, I got to do more of whatever Don Jeffries is doing, and it's kind of an inside joke. We'll text each other. What are you writing? What are you doing now? You know?
Yeah. You just don't know on the TV. You lost all your luster.
So that's the one show, right? The first show is the first pilot is on my book series, right? And I can't give the name, I can't give the person who the host is, but I think everybody's going to like it very much. The second, and then I'm not thinking about doing another executive producing project at all. And I'm flipping through, what was the name of the magazine? I can't think of it.
Probably GQ. I'm just kidding.
No, it was Nexus magazine.
Nice.
And there was an article in there about the hitchhiker effect from these people who have been to one of these ranches up in Utah, right? And the hitchhiker effect for people who don't know, because I didn't know. So it's when people go to a haunted location or a UFO location or something, and then they leave and go home and the damn thing follows them. And they have orbs and they're getting thrown downstairs and scratched and all kinds of crazy things. And I thought, man, this is just the coolest thing ever. So I got a hold of a girl that I know who does all the, not all of them, but a great deal of the conferences for ufology and things out in California. Her name's Lorian Fenton. And I said, Lorian,
I know her.
she's the sweetie. I said, Lorian,
Yes.
what you think about this? And she said, well, it's interesting. What do you have in mind? And I told her, and after she got up off the floor,
Like, here, can I lend you a hand?
I said, what do you think about partnering up on this one? Because this is going to be huge. It's so interesting because this happens in the ghost realm. It happens in the UFO realm. I mean, these things happen all the time. It's even in the religious realm. I mean, you think about it. All of Christianity is the hitchhiker effect. Moses part
Holy Ghost.
Right. Well, Moses parted the Red Seas because he had the Holy Spirit and it hitchhiked onto him. So
Holy Ghost tells you what to do.
Yeah, this really has a lot of room to roam with this one. So that's the second pilot we're doing, and we just interviewed some people the other day. Wanted to figure out who wanted to be on our show for the pilot. We listened to their stories, and these people are. You want to be on?
Yes,
You have your own story, right?
I do.
Tell me your story.
All right. So I have a few, but my most memorable was just prior to COVID-19 breaking out, and everybody's busy. They've got their day jobs, and I'm a night owl and, doing the whole parenting thing and etc. There was this woman that was pregnant and she needed help. She said there was a dark entity in her house and she needed a cleansing. She needed a cleansing kit, etc. Well, I drive up there to where the address is, and it's an old, very old, like Catholic church. There's a huge lit up cross. It's pretty intriguing. Right behind that property is her apartment. And generally, when I drive by places or pull up to a place, I can just sense like that place is haunted. That place is haunted. There's something going on there. I pull up there. I didn't feel threatened at all. Didn't feel anything like that. And I went in there, I showed her the different parts of her cleansing kit. and then began to show her how to use it. And I'm like, you need to get into every nook, cranny, and crevice, like open drawers, go under beds, wave this stuff around and have intent. You have to have an intent, yada, yada. Due to the fact that I didn't feel threatened or feel anything, basically, as far as some particular sort of being there, I didn't cleanse myself when I left. I'm like, I've been in a house full of sage, etc., etc. I shouldn't have to do that. And like I said before, it's all an intent. So when you cleanse yourself, that's intent. You're cleansing yourself from what was here, even though I didn't feel anything. So let's go hours later, and this is just up the road from me, less than a mile. I come home, I take off my pants, I have different stones in my pocket of protection. As soon as I take that off and put on my pajamas, all hell broke loose. It was insane. I broke my camera. I said horrible things. My husband said not only did my voice change, but my facial structure changed. And he ended up. Can you go? I slipped in the best. Don't do it. I'll talk to you soon, okay? Don't take out the dress and then I slipped. All right. Love you. I'm telling the story right now. Go ahead. Let's go. But yeah, not only did my voice and my facial structure change, like different things, like it was totally out of character. Preemptive to this, I'm at home, I'm sitting there, I'm checking my email. All of a sudden, I feel something on my side. And I'm like, ow, what the heck was that? I thought it was like a bug got under my shirt or something. So I checked it and it was a scratch. And then, being a smoker, I would go out on the porch and smoke because my family, if I'm smoking, doesn't mean they need to smoke too. But my daughter, Lily, she's like, I want to be with you. And she's like hugging my leg and stuff and sitting out there smoking. All of a sudden, I hear a growl. And I look down at her and she's looking the same direction the growl came from. That's pre-possession, walk-in, hitchhiker. The reason I call this that is because it was like a one and done sort of thing instead of being like all the time. It was teaching me a lesson. Like I should not have helped that lady, but I did. But yeah, my husband locked him and the kids in the bedroom. I put my pajamas on. I'm like, saying all these things. I'm going to bed, blah, blah, blah. I come to and I have no clothes on. I'm behind the wheel of my car and I'm like 3 miles from the reservation. And I'm like, what the F is going on? So I whip it around. And I'm like, I just got to get home. I got to make sure I don't get pulled over and have to explain why I have no clothes on because I have no idea. But yeah, generally.
I think every guy's been in that situation once or twice.
Well, yeah, generally my husband, he'd get up the next day and he'd be so pissed off at me, like, what the fuck, dude? Like, you should quit drinking or all this other stuff. But he's like, I know that wasn't you because, like I said, the facial structure, the voice, the different things that changed, the $7,000 camera I threw at him and broke that I just recently fixed.
So, full disclosure, you're a paranormal investigator.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if people know that.
Yeah, I've had paranormal experiences since, well, before I can remember, but the first remembrance is the age of 5. But yeah, that's why I have PTSD. That's why I have sleep issues. That's why there's so much stuff going on in my little bin here, but I'm happy with it. Like I'm accustomed and I make my life to fit it. But
so do you
was
feel,
intense.
Are you UFO wise, are you a contactee? Are you an abductee? Are you a witness? What? Because you know what? We're finding that these things overlap.
You know what? Okay, so I've always believed in the paranormal. My dad's like, poo-poo, that's why your mom died early and blah, blah, blah. He believed in UFOs and aliens and stuff, so I believe too. And there was one time we were sitting on a bridge and these lights were coming. Turns out it was just a troop of helicopters. But yeah, I'm sitting there breastfeeding my son. It's the winter of 2012. and Dylan Redwine went missing. And I'm sitting there breastfeeding my son, and all of a sudden, it's like, okay, clear skies. So you can see the moon just beaming off the snow and that cool, like, crystalline look it has. All of a sudden, there's this orangish red ball coming down the fence line. I'm just feeding him. I'm like, wow, what's that? You know, checking it out. It gets closer and closer. As it does, it gets bigger and bigger, and it has liquid fire flowing through it. And so, you know, detach the son, put him on the couch. I call over my 2 daughters, my husband. I'm like, do you see that? What the heck do you see right now? My 2 daughters saw the same thing I did. It looked like a glass orb, a thin one with liquid fire, orange and red, maybe a hint of yellow, but mostly orange and red flowing through it. My husband saw a bat, particularly large, flapping its wings at a very slow rate of speed. I'm like, okay, so who's seeing the shields? Who's seeing reality? But yeah, I almost stepped out there, and as soon as I stepped 1 foot out in the snow, I was like, I don't know what this thing's intention is. I don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, my son was born with 6 fingers on his right hand. He and his sister have had shared, I want to say, dreams, because I do overnight security, and I talked to them about their dreams, and she's like, yeah, this, you know, UFO showed up, these aliens came out, they were walking me on board, and Floyd was walking on board, then he jumped off, and then I saw him jump off, and it's raising up at this point, and then I jumped off, and yeah, the argument got to the point where she said, and Floyd tripped, and Floyd's like, I didn't trip, you tripped. So that's when you know it's a shared experience. They both realize somebody tripped, but they're arguing about who did it, which is normal for here. But yeah, it's so intriguing. Pretty sure we do have alien DNA as far as our heritage goes, and it shows with my son and his 6 fingers and the whole alien thing that happened pre to and after when he was born.
That's fascinating. I think that you know, you should. Next Friday, we're doing another interview session, and you should get a hold of me, and I put you on. You know, I'll have to put
That'd
you
be
in touch
awesome.
with Lorian, and you know, we love to hear your stories and the rest of your stories. And if anybody else out there has anything, reach out to me. Okay. Tessa knows how to get a hold of me. I'm on Facebook. You know, you can get a hold of me on Messenger. I will not give my phone number.
Don't
But
do it.
you know, I will. You can reach out to me that way. If you've had a UFO experience and you went home and whatever it is has followed you and
Mm.
continues to stay in the house and continues to, and I've heard it both ways. I've heard it benevolent, where it's helping people, and I've heard it where it's scratching people and throwing them down the stairs. I've heard this both
There's
ways.
different stories. Is it different aliens? I don't know. And where it first began with aliens with me, I was pregnant with my son, taking the kids from the motorcycle rally, because that's where we used to do security. And my daughter's like, Mom, there's this light. It's following us. And that's the first time I saw it, was pre him being born. And she's like, Mom, what are you doing? Just get back in. I just want to go home. I just want to go home. And I'm like, you've been telling me about this thing the whole time. So I got up and looked up, and I looked much smaller. It was just like a little bitty guy instead of like a great big guy at that point, because it was higher up. Same color, same formation.
It's fascinating. I've never had the hitchhiker effect. I have, however, seen some very, very interesting things in the sky. Closer than I wanted to ever see them. I'll say that. Um, and yeah, and so if you're out there and you're listening to this and you have a ghost hitchhiker, or if you have a UFO hitchhiker, get a hold of me. We'll interview you for the show, and we'd love to hear from you. We're getting hundreds and hundreds of people pouring out, because I had no idea that this was even a thing. I had no idea.
Well, you know, people were so scared for so long. Not only are they aeronautics or different people of the military, etc., people are afraid to report because they're going to lose their job, because everybody's going to say they're crazy. etc. Like it just goes from there.
One of the fellows that I can say his name's Bob. I won't give his last name. Super, super nice guy. He was in the military for 28 years with a top security clearance. And he saw some things that he shouldn't, and he went public with it. And they stripped him of his security clearance and just about busted him out. But what he, in his defense, it wasn't anything that it wasn't confidential. It wasn't a confidential thing. It wasn't a top secret thing. It was nothing. He was just repeating what he told, and they busted him out. You know what I mean? So here's this guy who's been in 28 years with a top security clearance, and he's not working there anymore because of he told what he saw. And I'm not going to tell his story, but
Well, yeah, and like you said, he's been there for so many years. You're counting on that retirement benefit. When you come out before it's time to retire, your shit gets taken away. It's pretty sad.
yeah, it really is.
Just because you're telling the truth.
They're going to, and I say they, government officials and the media too. You know, in the media, I hate to use the word mainstream media because it's been so overused, but that's what it is.
Yeah, it
And
is.
you know, if truth was suddenly introduced into American society, the whole system would collapse because they're not telling the truth. They're telling a narrative of what their paymasters want you to hear. That's it. That's all they're doing. You know, and they get a couple good looking girls on there, and guess what? They gotcha. You know, and it's not, these are not fact finding people. They're telling you what they want you to hear or think or see. That's it. Everything, the plain honest truth of it is, everything on television has been organized and designed for you to see. It's fantasy land, folks. It's not real. So when they're on there telling you this or telling you that, that's not that they haven't done the research. They haven't done anything like that. All they're doing is trying to convince you of something that their paymasters want you to know. That's it. And
Reminds
you
me
know
of
what?
the cats trying
And
to
they're good.
cover up shit.
They're good at it. And they're good at it.
Mhm.
You know, I fall into it sometimes too, you know, just because they're so damn good at it. But these
They
two shows, yeah, these two shows are going to, and there's a third one. I just had an idea for another one, but I have enough going on as it is. I'm going to have to put that one in the icebox for a while. But
Mm,
these two shows are coming to a venue near you reasonably soon.
that's exciting. And I think I saw something about it, but I was like scrolling when I was looking at different articles and it's like, this one's closed. You cannot read this one anymore. I'm like, okay, what sort of cover up is going on here? Because I believe in what you share with me, and then I'm trying to read it, it won't come up. That to me is pretty intriguing. That really shows to me a lot. You know, a lot of people would think, wow, there's a ton of information there. I really got a lot out of it. There really wasn't anything there. I really got a lot out of that because that's the way our government works, or the higher powers, whatever you want to call them.
And I work with Google all day, every day. I code,
Hmm.
I do digital marketing. That's what I do. And everything else is a sideline just because, well, just because. But I know, I know how Google works. I know how algorithms work. I know the whole shot. And they can pretty much tweak anything that they want anytime they want. Google changes
They
their
want
yeah, Google changes their algorithm about 3,200 times a year. Tweaks
days.
and fiddles and this and that just because they're trying to get better at what they do. Sometimes it's just trying to improve what they're doing. Sometimes it's just not a sneaky thing or a nefarious thing or anything like that. Sometimes it is. I've seen some
Mhm.
things where,
You're like, you're trying to deny this? Seriously?
yeah, I've seen some things where they've tweaked algorithms and it's done some really bizarre things. But I'll send you those articles again just because I want you to, and you can do your own show on them. I'm not going to mention it. I'm not going to say it here, but I'll give you those
Well,
articles.
yeah. To me, it was very intriguing because I am clicking on it. I want to read it or want to watch it. And 404 code. I've gotten that several times when something's been taken away. There's no excuse for it. You just can't view this. And then there was another one that said, something went wrong here. You can't view it. And I'm just like, what the heck is happening?
Yeah, it was in
And I
the
was thinking, like,
it was in
that
the
last one,
Presley. It was in the
yeah,
Presley.
the last one I clicked on, I was just like, this one's not going to work either, but it finally did.
Were you
Yeah.
able to see
At
any
least
of
one
them?
did. The last one.
And these were things that I sent to Tessa over the last week about Lisa Marie and legal challenges and legal awards and who got what and this and that and the other thing. And someone wants their finger in Elvis's fortune, and they're going to get it. And
And you know what? I think it's the person that's like sitting there spreading all kinds of poo poo all of a sudden and trying, oh, put the attention back on me. Like Naked Gun, you know, all these different Naked Guns didn't work quite enough. How about we try this? I don't
well,
know. She has been trying to shun Elvis. She's been trying to put a dark shadow on him for so long. Yes, I get it. You're a woman. You're upset. You want to fucking hurt him like he hurt you. But at the same time, think about your daughter. Think about this other shit. But it's all about the almighty dollar, I think.
well, I think everything is nowadays. Unfortunately, it's getting to that point. Um, yeah, there's a lot behind the scenes with that. A lot of things that I know that I probably shouldn't, and I'm not going to repeat. But anyway, the two shows coming up are really going to be they're really going to be something. I fell ass backwards into it. I never ever expected to be an executive producer on anything. Um,
Isn't that amazing? You're like, what?
yeah, it's something else. It's really here I am interviewing people for
Awesome.
that, and it's very interesting. So we don't know. We're guessing we don't know where this is going to get picked up. I'm assuming that the one with Lorian will probably be picked up on television, probably on Discovery. I'm guessing. I don't know for sure. And the other one I know is going to end up in a streaming venue on my books. So
It's going to be
um,
like Hulu, Amazon, wherever you can think of to pick this up.
yeah, there's a couple we're talking to right now. And you know what? This AI strike is brutal.
What?
All of this is happening right in the middle of Hollywood shutting down. And I'm like, oh man, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. Hollywood's going to shut down in the middle of this? Really?
Totally
So we have,
weird.
so we have, dust is gathering on the desks of people in Hollywood and contracts need to be signed. We have to talk to people and there's no one there. And I just can't imagine how frustrating it must be for, I don't belong to the Hollywood unions.
Everybody's in their shells. They don't know what to say or what to do. They're like, we have to protect ourselves. Epstein, different names, other things, Illuminati. There's so much crazy stuff happening in Hollywood today.
I don't belong to the Writers Guild, although I do. Every time I come up with a manuscript, I register it with them. But you know what? They have a point, and I side with them this time, even though I can't because I'm not a member. But AI is getting so incredible, and it's going to do nothing but continue to learn. AI is actually it's coding itself now, and
Even
learn.
Elon Musk is like, you guys cut it off, give it like 6 months or something. Something bad is happening. Okay, when Elon Musk says that and he knows all this other shit and he's the richest man in the world, he's not the richest man in the world for no reason.
Right.
Listen to him. He knows about AI. He was the first one saying, hey, let's put these probes into our brains and let's use AI and let's do this. And he's like, let's do a cut for 6 months. What do you say? And then we'll come back to it.
Stephen Hawking said this is going to be a big, big bad thing moving
Yes.
forward. And if Stephen Hawking is talking, I'm listening, because this is
Seriously.
not But again, I work in that world and I see people going to school for Python coding and this coding and that coding. And you know what? Those jobs are not going to be there because AI can code all that faster and better than we can. You just have to ask it. The Bible says God spoke us into existence. And how ironic it is that we're doing the same thing with AI. AI do
Yes.
this, and here it is, and here, here's this, and here's that. I watched this thing code something the other day that it just absolutely boggled my mind. Way faster and better than anybody can code, a human being. So Hollywood is going on strike
Good.
because of the AI thing, because these writers, and I know how hard it is to be a writer. It's not glamorous. It's hard work, and these people
Yes.
they
And you
work their
get paid pennies on the dollar.
these people work their asses off. And to think that now they're going to be shunned aside because they have AI and they can do it for them, that they have a valid point. And you know what? The actors have a point too. While we're talking about it, the beginning of the new Harrison Ford movie that's out. What is it?
Yes.
What's the name of it?
It's the new Indiana Jones.
There you go. And there's a younger version of him in the beginning of it.
Yeah. His
That's
son.
all. That's all AI. So what they're going to try and do now is they're going to take these actors' images and they're going to put them into these movie spots and not give the actors any sort of money for it.
Seriously, I just play this. Okay, so a couple weeks now I've been playing around with let's do spooky videos or funny videos and then we'll do story time. But then I'm thinking about, well, we have listeners, they're not always watchers. Let's do story time first and end with video time. And one of the very first ones I did was AI Joe Biden, and it was fucking funny as fuck. I'm not saying I support Joe Biden, but it was pretty fucking funny. The different things he was saying about, the shitbirds and putting B12 in his ass and stuff. I was just like, I can believe that.
Seeing, they say seeing is believing, but sometimes it's not. Have you seen the mask that came off and it was Vergara, Sofia Vergara underneath the mask, and it wasn't that person at all? Have you seen that?
No, did you see the Britney Spears where she's doing her little dance and it was like another face until it came back up and then it was her face and really in reality it wasn't Britney Spears? Where's Britney? No, but
Body doubles have been part of our culture for ages and ages. Hitler had them.
Mhm.
Elvis had them.
Yes.
Diana had a body double. I pointed out in my book.
Even Tom Cruise has like 4.
Yeah. Well, you get to the point where Princess Diana was having death threats.
Mm-hmm.
They were not coming from the royal family. And,
No.
when you have death threats like this and you're the most photographed woman in the world, you need to throw a curveball. So some of the photos of her on the boat with Dodie were not her. And if you look real
Yeah, I
close, you
saw
can tell.
that. And I was like, looking at the pooch and stuff like that, but then that brings up the question, did she get pregnant with this baby? Okay, so generally women don't show that early in pregnancy, but she's had 2 kids before, one by Charles, one by the horse dude guy. Perhaps with this one, it just showed really early, but at the same time, like you're saying, not just the body, but facial features.
Yeah.
Is this really Diana?
Yeah, and I pose that in my book. I actually show this person. Diana was much better looking than this person.
Oh yeah, I have to agree.
It's kind of obvious, but
It's
that's
just
not.
the way she holds herself and,
Yeah,
the way she looks.
Diana was very regal,
Mm-hmm.
and this person kind of looked like somebody you'd see at bingo. All right, kind of not, the same thing. But
Jack back spot.
it was good from far, but far from good. But anyway, it worked. She was hiding somewhere else, and this person, for the pictures, worked, right? So,
At the time,
body doubles. Lincoln had body doubles. Roosevelt had body doubles. Stalin had body doubles. And I know Hitler had body doubles. When you start getting high profile to the point where people will kidnap you or kill you for money, you have to have it. Well, now
you
with
do.
this technology, now with AI, and now with these Hollywood masks they have that are so fantastic, where you peel them off and it's somebody
Yes.
underneath.
Like the Pope. He's like,
you know, I mean, are we really going to need body doubles anymore? Is seeing still believing? And I don't think it
I'm not
is.
quite sure because I'm kind of confused at this point. Like I said, with the Pope, and he's like doing this, and his nose is going way out here and shit. Like, are you really the Pope or are you not? And popes, there's been this certain curse going on, and I've been watching puppet history and stuff like that, where popes back in the day were down with, getting with your brother or sister and this and that, because I'm in league with God, so everything I say is good. But I think this most recent pope we had, to me, as far as I've seen in history, I believe in. I believe in him. I love the way that he likes a small room. He's not looking for the grand palace. I love the way he's doing all these other things. And then you see him like pulling a mask off of his face and other weird shit like that. It's like, what the frick is happening right now? Is
Well,
this really the real Pope or what?
we've reached this point in society where technology is good enough now where you can't believe what you're believing. I know Trump has to have body doubles. I know he has to. I don't know how it's being
You just gotta.
done. But, I mean, could you imagine what's going on in his world and, people wanting to take him out? Nobody's got to have body doubles. He has to.
Yeah,
Biden has to have body doubles. He has to. When you reach that level of fame, political or otherwise, you have to be protected.
like with Joe Biden, you have to trip up the stairs as efficiently as the president would, okay? Are you willing to trip up the stairs? No, but with Donald Trump, like even my mom, she's the best Donald Trump impersonator. That's where I learned my Donald Trump voice, but it's insane what's going on. And everybody's getting hacked. Not only Trump, but Biden. I didn't vote for either one of those motherfuckers, so I don't feel guilty, but it's insane what's going on in the world today. And then Putin is threatening nuclear war, and what the crack is going to happen to us? Do you know a sufficient cave where we can hide? Because I'm not quite sure.
Well, it's very interesting that. Are you familiar with the book Singularity by Kurzweil?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that is 2030, right? That he's saying singularity by 2030. The UN agenda is 2030. All things are aligning at 2030. And if you don't know what the UN agenda is, a lot of people out there don't know. If you want to look at a headline in today's world, a news headline, go to the UN agenda 2030. It's out there. You can Google it. They're not hiding it from you. You can look and see what their steps are towards the UN agenda, and you can find them right on the news. And this is what's going on, and they're going to get there by hook or crook. Then this is what I mean. We are an engineered species now. And I'm not, believe it or
Well, and
not.
according to some people, we have been since the beginning of time. Adam and Eve were on a spaceship, and they crashed because Satan caused the spaceship to crash. Is that reality, or what we've been reading all this time is reality? What the crack is happening? It's pretty intense.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff. You can pick apart the cracks of a lot of things. I'm not, believe it or not, I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist. I'm really not.
I'm not either.
I'm
not conspiracist.
I'm kind of a history detective. When no one else is looking, 40 years after some death has been said, okay, well, this is a natural causes. When information comes out 40 years later and no one's looking, I'm looking, and I can solve it. So I don't know. I get sucked into a lot of conversations, and who's to say who's right and who's wrong? They might be right. Who knows, right? But I get sucked into a lot of these conversations because people think I believe in one thing, so I'd have to believe in the other. I don't know anything about Bigfoot. I mean, it's fascinating for me for about 25 minutes.
I only know he likes Reese's peanut butter cups.
It's fascinating for about 25 minutes, and then I have to go back to, what fascinates me. But I don't care if the earth is flat. I don't care if it's round. All I really care is that I'm on the son of a bitch. Okay. That's all I really care.
Right? I'm still here. And I've been seeing that recently, like flat earthers are coming up all the time, and they're like, look at this. There's the flat earth. Then there's the dome. And there's, the ocean below and the ocean above. And yes, it does kind of make sense when the ship goes through and you, especially with SpaceX, where it makes these weird like woo, woo, woo sort of things. That could make sense. But otherwise, like there's a freaking hole there that you have to go through at a certain time. Otherwise, what is this wong wong wong? I don't get it.
It's way over my head. I had a class
Okay.
reunion a couple of months ago. Actually, a month
How'd
ago.
that go? Holy shit. Was it your 20th or what?
My 80th. So,
What? No way. You're
no.
lying.
So there's a guy that I've known, grew up with. His name's Mike. I won't give his last name. He's a pilot,
Hey, Mikey.
and he's a great guy. And I said, Mike, and there's a lot of people in my class who are cool. A lot of people weren't. This guy was one of the cool ones. And I said, Mike, I gotta know, man, flat or round? And he said, curved.
Curved. It is. Okay, so if you look at it without the ocean, it's this like cattywampus weird looking thing. With the ocean on it, it looks round. But with just the earth, it's pretty wonky.
He said it was curved. And I said, so it's not round? And he really skirted it.
He's
And
like,
I said, I suppose you're going to ask me about UFOs now too. And I said, well, since you asked, I mean, we might as well get the tops of our heads. We might as well get the top of our heads wet because we're up to our necks already, right? And he said, we see them all the time. He said, we see things that we can't explain all the time. It's just
I
part of
can't
the job.
say.
Yeah, and he told me who he flies for, and I can't release that either. But it was a really, really interesting thing that there are some people out there.
Do you know anyone who is in the new Space Force?
No, I do not.
Me neither. I know, like, they said, hey, we have a new Space Force, but now people from the Air Force, even my grandpa from my stepmom's side, he's like, I'm going to tell you this story, but just believe, like, I could die and you could die from me telling the story. And he'd tell us, and I'm just like, I totally believed what he told me. It was so freaking believable. And then stories I've heard since from Air Force people, why would they lie? Because if they tell this story, they're in trouble.
I think that there's a lot that I don't know. Good, short answer. I can speculate. I think that they would lose again, like Mike Bob, the guy we interviewed. He'd lose his military clearance. He'd wreck his career. They have you by the purse string at some point. And I also think that there are alphabet agencies out there that we don't even know exist.
Mhm.
You don't want to be poking their nose because you won't be here. So
Don't poke the bear.
well, yeah, of course. So I think that they're doing it to be good soldiers, and I also think that partially they're doing the right thing, but I also think there's an element of fear in there too.
Well, there is because there's the chain of command. And if you speak out and you're told there's a non-disclosure agreement, there's this and this and that and that, and you're like, I just can't keep it to myself. I need to let my fellow citizens know they're not, okay, civilians or citizens, they're both different. So citizens, I think, are military. Civilians are different. They want to let everybody know, like, this is actually happening. And that's at the point where they're like, I'm just going to give up on my retirement, this and that, because once you spread the word, your retirement is gone. You're screwed because the government's like, well, non-disclosure, that's out the window. Now you've lost everything. But to some people, it's more important to share the truth instead of just being like, no, didn't see nothing. Yeah, that was just a whale or a dolphin or something. No, it wasn't.
It's it puts them in a very difficult spot, a spot that I wouldn't want to be put in. Fortunately, I'm not there, but I can see both sides of it. I can see both sides of it. But at some point, somebody's going to have to come and tell the truth. Were you familiar with the UFOs that scraped the Washington D.C. right in the middle of a parade? Do you remember this at all? This happened
No,
during the
I
Eisenhower.
remember that there was ninjas there, but nobody saw them because they're ninjas. But I don't remember about the UFOs coming through and like doing a scraper. But I
Yeah,
believe it
it was
because
during
they're sick and tired of things being covered up.
it was during the Eisenhower administration.
Holy shnikes, and isn't that the same time he signed the agreement?
Something's going on because do you know Laura Eisenhower?
Yes. I met
Laura's a,
her through Dave Scott. She was
oh,
doing
that's
a UFO
her friend
conference
Dave
in San
Scott.
Francisco. Yeah.
Yeah, Dave's a nice guy. Laura's a peach, nice
Yes.
girl. She's got a lot of stories to tell about that.
She's awesome. I look up to her. She's awesome.
Yeah, I won't tell her stories, but because I don't tend to take her thunder away. Not that I could, but anybody out there, check out Laura Eisenhower and get to know her and check out her stuff because she can fill in that entire huge gap of what
Hmm.
we were just discussing.
And she's the relative of President Eisenhower. Wasn't he the one that signed the contract for, so many missing people?
That's
Or,
what I was told, yeah. And believe it or
okay.
not, I'm
Yeah.
related to Mamie Eisenhower, so it's kind
I
of
was just telling my husband and my kids about that the other day, and they looked at me like I was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. But I'm like, I'm serious. Like, President Eisenhower signed this treaty that agreed that for this certain technology, you could abduct so many people. And then here we go with Mrs. Eisenhower or Miss Eisenhower.
yeah. It's a very interesting thing. I used to live in Nevada.
Hmm?
I lived in Nevada
Holy
back in
shit, I'm sorry.
and the stuff in the sky in Nevada up by Nellis Air Force Base is amazing. They are doing stuff up there all the time. Now, is it our special space force that we don't know about what they're doing and what they're testing? Who knows? Are they
Mhm.
some sort of a UFO, unidentified flying object, is not necessarily an alien life form. It's just that we
I
don't know
call
what the
it
hell
an
it is.
UFO. You motherfucking UFO. You want to mess with me? Now it's UAP or AUP, unidentified aerial phenomenon. Then it's unidentified anomalous phenomenon. Why do you keep changing the name so quickly? What the heck is going on in our government? It's pretty weird.
People need to add additional words when they want things to seem more complicated than they really are. You
Well,
know,
that's what they did. They're like unidentified aerial phenomenon. They're like, no, guess what? We changed again. It's still UAP, but it's unidentified anomalous because it's really creepy phenomenon.
the extra words, the spooky language. Police are responding to
Right.
an emergency situation. No, they're not. They're responding to an emergency. We know it's a situation. Everything's a
Mhm.
situation, not needed.
I'm telling you.
And they do this all the time. When they can't figure it out or they don't know what to say, they redefine it and they rename it and they rehash it and they put it out there, to satisfy people who are, I don't know.
We got to make it more
Fascinated.
comfortable for the inner people. The people that are working for us on the innards. All these out local people, we don't really care, but the inner people, let's call it this, just to make them comfy. I'm like, is it really working for you? I don't think so.
They want it to seem more fascinating than it really is, to fool people who are fascinated by small shiny objects. That's basically what they're doing.
Oh, like crows and stuff.
So will they ever come clean? I don't know. I have no idea. Um,
And we were talking about this last night. They're like, I feel full disclosure. Full disclosure. It's going to come out. I'm like, I don't think so. I think they're going to keep like Mr. Ed with the carrot. Come on, Mr. Ed. You can have the carrot. Oh, wait. Oh, it's going. Oh. Sorry, Mr. Ed. You don't get the carrot till the very end. But that's kind of how the government is doing to us. Like, oh, here you go. Here's a little carrot. Come on, follow it. Oh, let's go on this way.
it's like
It's
the
pretty
Kennedy
ridiculous.
assassination, the documents they're going to release, right?
Seriously.
If there's nothing to hide, why hide it? Why
Ex-
wait 60 years to bring out this little bit of documents and this little bit of documents and keep following us, here's a few more documents, and by the time they release them, They're so heavily redacted, you're not going to find anything out anyway. We know what happened. We
It's
all
like
know what happened. You know, and
it's all blacked out.
they just keep, you know, so why hide it? Everybody who's been involved is long dead. So why do they continue to hide it? Who are they protecting? And the answer is they're protecting a branch of the United States government.
The inner shelf, the people that have been leading you all along. They don't like it when people come in and they try to build Camelot out of spare parts. They hate that shit. They don't like it.
I like that one.
And that's what I loved about Kennedy. Like, there's hope for everyone. We're going to build Camelot out of spare parts. Here, I got some parts. I got some parts. Here, let's go. Seriously, that's what everybody was feeling united for once. Oh, we can't have that. I don't know. It's super sad for me.
And as soon as Kennedy got shot, I was not on Earth when Kennedy got shot, but the world went crazy. We went into the radical 60s. We went into Vietnam. We went into Watergate. And you know what? The world's never been right. And I've heard this from people in all walks of life who lived through that event. We've never been right since those bullets hit Kennedy head. And you notice I said bullets.
I'm telling you, and it was multiple. Like I was saying about, you know, the cinch vest where like you can bend over a certain way, and my husband's like, guess what? The first shot was right through his head. Well, just because it's right through his head, so many people have been shot right through their head, and they're just freaking fine. Because it just, you know, went certain places. Doesn't mean he couldn't have bent over and protected himself, except for he couldn't. Because he's wearing this tight knit thing, trying to protect his back, and he can't bend the way he wants to. Could you imagine being helpless like that?
I mean, why? No. But I mean, you have to ask yourself why they would put the president in a limousine with a convertible, an open top anyway.
Yeah, and then like people are shooting from this way, the driver is shooting from this way. I've heard so many theories. What exactly is happening? But on that note, Steve, we do have to go to our second music break. So we have King Cinnamon from Biafra, Nigeria with Rosie. And, you know, if you talk to a lot of our listeners, this is kind of a dirty song. Then we have Hosni Bronx with Free Child and Strong Life. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this music break.
Oh yeah, it's Funky on the beats.
Suck my boost, you got my body loose. Anytime you talk me, you got me confused. Suck my boost, you got my body loose. Anytime you talk me, you got me confused. Cinnamon, do it softly. I see you wine your body, eat the sweetie. Make you rock my body, I am feeling horny. Make it touch my body, I am feeling sweetie. Suck my boost, you got my body loose. Anytime you talk me, you got me confused. Suck my boost, you got my body loose. Anytime you talk me, you got me confused. All my men, they wear out. All my guys, they wear out. Imarama, Rosie. Imarama, Rosie. All my men, they wear out. All my guys, they wear out. Imarama, Rosie. Imarama, Rosie. Mukomukeji, go bere muketa. Oya mukomukeji, oya bere muketa. Daddy mu eko, omoni kwa mukeji. Daddy bere muketa, omoni fumilein. Daddy fisi, omoni ejo. Daddy saucy, omoni ejo. Daddy kosi, omoni ejo. Daddy tohin pussy, omoni ejo. Daddy and his baby, them there for corner. Daddy begin the touch, and the girl the holla. Nine daddy begin the open the shirt collar. Nine something come up, daddy begin the sucker. Daddy move echo, omoni kwa mukeji. Daddy bere muketa, omoni fumilein. Daddy fisi, omoni ejo. Daddy saucy, omoni ejo. All my men they wear. All my guys they wear. Imarama, Rosie. Imarama, Rosie. All my men they wear. All my guys they wear. Imarama, Rosie. Imarama, Rosie. Suck my boost, you got my body loose. Anytime you talk me, you got me confused. Suck my boost, you got my body loose. Anytime you talk me, you got me confused. Cinnamon, cinnamon, do it softly. I see the wine, your body, eat the sweetie, sweetie. Shake it rock my body, I am feeling honey. Shake it up my body, I am feeling sweetie. Suck my boost, you got my body loose. Anytime you talk me, you got me confused. Suck my boost, you got my body loose. Anytime you talk me, you got me confused.
Kissy, Amani, your daddy saucy, saucy, Amani, your daddy pussy, Amani, your daddy come here pussy, Amani, your
Daddy contact, harmony, your daddy comfort. Daddy consist, harmony, your daddy can't eat. Daddy 120, harmony, your daddy 18. Daddy 240, harmony, your daddy 360.
daddy and the baby, them there for fun. Okay, begin the touch and the girl the hammer. I ain't daddy begin to open the shell. I ain't come to come, daddy begin the talk.
Daddy move, echo, harmony, pemukage. Daddy bere muketa, harmony for me lane. Daddy fissy, harmony, your daddy saucy, harmony, your.
All my men that they pharaoh, all my guys that they pharaoh. Imarama,
Oh yeah, it's funky on the beat.
I am a child of one who decided this life for me. I am a child of angel who decided this life for this one. I am a child of the world. I want to help all the kids in the world. Must be free, oh Lord. We must unite, 'cause we are alone, my people. We must be together. Give me your heart, Lord, people in love, people in love. Our children in the world suffer. In Africa, our children hurting. They were plundering Africa with their African complex. Say, let man who love to make us suffer. In Africa, our people need you. In Africa, our children call you. upward new life. I don't believe that anyway. Human move and fight, human move and fight, human move and fight, human move and fight. I am a child of one who decided this life for me. I am a child of angel who decided this life for this one. I am a child of the world. I want to have all the kids in the world. Let the children smile, let the children play. Don't let the children cry, don't let the children sob. Dance, dance, the reggae music come from Jah. Dance, dance against the wall. Babylon, you are going too far. We are one people, people in love, people in love. In Africa, our people need you. In Africa, our people call you, yeah. In Africa, our people need you. In Africa, our children call you, yeah. People in love, people in love. We are alone. Babylon make you suffer. 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 What is desire? Young life. We are ready to fight. Hard life for my people. I don't know why my people live this life. I don't know why my people live this life. I don't know how to fight, 'cause my people chance with my people. I don't have to fight, but if we are together, it will work. It will work. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Babylon no have no hearts. 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 My people, you have to survive. Yeah, you must live with you and make your own way. You must not give up. The beginning of the revolt will start. We need to follow our true destiny. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah, 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 yeah. I don't know, whoa, why my people live this life. I don't know, whoa, why my people live this life. The obstacle we face, yeah, is Babylon. The world is a good place, yeah, for our freedom. You take everything, you don't bring anything, yeah, yeah. Young life, oh, not dread. We must believe in a magical, powerful force that unite us, not just these people stay speechless again. We don't want to talk, no, it's time to fight, yeah. We start talking. Babylon make you suffer. 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 What is desire? Young life. We are ready to fight.
Well, here we are back with Mr. Steve B. Ubaney. Welcome back, and thanks so much for sharing your thought process on all the stuff that is going on at this moment.
Well, the world's a mess, and the country's worse. So you're not going to have any answers there. But as for my little corner of the world, I'm going to keep on telling the truth and keep researching it. And you know what? I have to research it, and I have to put all these people say, how come you don't have somebody else research for you, or how come you take thousands and thousands of hours to write a book? And I said, because I know I'm going to be attacked on my research, and I have to make sure that everything is cited, and I have to have my research right, because when I go on shows, I know I'll get some chucklehead out there who calls in and wants to challenge me, and I have to be able to come back with bang bang bang, which usually doesn't happen. The majority of the people are really cool and very receptive to what I do. But that's how you know that you've made it. You have a critic.
Exactly. When you have somebody out there flicking shit at you or whatever, you've made it.
Absolutely.
And we've had that in the past, but right now it's pretty quiet. Pretty important what's going on.
So I wanted to tell everybody how they can get my books. They can go to my I'm on ebook and audiobook all the way around the world, all over the place. And if you want a physical book, I can autograph it. They're hard to find. But I'll do this for you if you have a birthday or if you want a Christmas present or something. I'll autograph it any way you want. Go to my website, whomurderedbooks.com. whomurderedbooks.com. You can catch me on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. Stay in touch. I reach when people reach out to me. I always get back to them, just because I hate people who don't. It's a pet peeve of mine, so I make sure I'm not that person. A lot of cool stuff coming up. The Tesla book is there's way more here than meets the eye. Kennedy's Kennedy. You know the struggles I had with doing it, but I said, you know what? Life's not a popularity contest. I'm gonna tell the story that was told to me by my cousin who was there, and he didn't want to tell it. He didn't want to tell the story because of what the repercussions would be on him, because he was a pensioner and this and that, and they didn't want to do it. So I'm gonna tell that story. And you want to guess the one after that is? They want me to do 5. I can give you the third. So we know about Tesla. We know about JFK. The one after that's going to be on Jimi Hendrix.
Heck yes. I've heard so many amazing stories about him. Like, I had a friend that went to his concert. He lifted up his guitar and not only played it with his zipper thing, so his metal zipper thing, but then he played it with his teeth. What? That's total rock and roll right there.
Jimi
To me,
Hendrix
that was infinite.
was positively beyond a shadow of a doubt in almost anybody's mind. He was murdered. Jimi Hendrix was taken out, and he got across the wrong way, the wrong time. So this is what I have to write. There's 5 books. Those are the 3, and they have to be done for the more material on the show. So it's gonna be an interesting time.
Let me talk for 1 second.
I'm
Sounds like
sorry.
sounds like your little one's in the studio, huh?
Yeah. So, Lily, please go. And we're almost done with the show. I promise I'll come out and help you after the show. I'm so sorry, Steve.
Well, that's okay. Kids are kids. What are you gonna do? It's the way it is.
Come on, Lily. I'm a jerk. I'm a jerk.
So
I'm sorry.
if you want to be on this show, the Hitchhiker Effect show, you have to make sure that you give me your number. I don't think I have your phone number. I have to get it to Lori and Fenton. And next Friday, we're gonna talk to all of these people. And if somebody's out there and if you have a story, please, please, please get a hold of me. It matters, because the only way the truth about this is going to be told is if people like me tell it. It's the only way it's going to happen, because nobody's telling the truth out there. And they used to do a better job of hiding things from people,
They
and now
did.
they are just shoving it in your face. We're
Like,
lying, do something about it.
take it.
And I don't, like I said, I don't fancy myself as being much of a conspiracy guy, but I know
Me neither.
conspiracy.
And I hate the term conspiracy theorist. And I'm like, no, I'm a conspiracist. Because it's not a theory. To me, it's true.
I struggled long and hard, and I put in the Diana book. I got so tired of being called a conspiracy theorist, I had to come up with a term to call them back. And I came up with it. They're reality challenged. They are reality challenged, which means reality is right in their face, and they're too dumb, or their normalcy bias will not allow them to see what's right in front of their face. So these people are reality challenged.
You're saying reality challenged. I'm saying sheeple, because these are people that are like, bah, 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 please just leave me. And there's other of us, yes, we are sheep, but we're different than those. And we see things, we hear things, we're going this way, and we go to a different flock. And all the other ones are kind of like the ones you see in Scotland and such, and they're going and they're doing all these different pictations and such, and they're doing everything they're told to do. And the others of us are like, no, this is what's really happening. We're all over here like,
You have to think your own thoughts and be your own person. You know, even if it doesn't pass the scratch and sniff test, it's probably not right. And I go through this a lot where things just don't look right. And you have to, you know, press and probe into them. And I get asked all the time, how did you start writing on this subject and this and that? And I used to think sometimes I'm unable to give them an answer. I used to think that you pick your life. And to a certain extent, I believe that. But to a greater extent, I'm starting to think now that your life picks you. I had no idea I was going to write books. I had no idea I was going to get into this. I had no idea I was going to be the executive producer on shows. I have no idea how this happened. I think it just attached itself to me. And here I
That's
am,
pretty
you know.
awesome.
It's
I
it's
think
in the
that's
same
amazing.
with you. I mean, you came onto doing you're doing your show. I'm sure it just found you one day. You decided you were going to do it, right?
Okay, so 2012, a kid went missing. It was my daughter's friend around Thanksgiving time. That was 2012. That's how I first came out of the paranormal closet. Before then, I'd had paranormal experiences. I had stuff going on, but after that, it was just like I hid in the closet, I was away, and then I was like, I don't care anymore. I just want to help somebody. So that's what we did. And we started our own group, and it's gone that way since. My kids, they have experiences all the time. It's pretty intense.
So that's how you ended up doing this.
So the show, Dave Scott, about 5 years ago, was like, hey, I'd like you to be the Saturday night host. And I'm like, I have social anxiety. Can you let me think about it? He's like, well, don't take too long. So I came back. I'm like, I'm going to do it. And then Saturday turned into Sunday. Then I got fired. Then I was just like, I decided months later or throughout the time, months later, I came out and did my own thing because I love this and I love spreading the message and the word. And this is really happening. And it's really important to me for people to hear this for sure.
People have been after me to do a podcast. They've been after me to do Who Murdered podcast. You know what? I was going to do it.
I would love to do that.
And I'm still going to do it. Problem is, there's only one of me. You know,
so I'm saying I got Saturdays and Sundays. So if you want to pick a day,
I can't write the books and do the shows and go on shows and, you know, do that.
It's still much.
Do that job thing, you know. It's a little much, you know. So I decided that I'm going to put that away for a while, and I'll only get these shows out, and I'll start doing my podcast, and you know, I'll start doing more things than just, you know. It's fun to write these books. I love doing these books because I was, like, I always joke with people. I was an honor student. Yes, Your Honor. No, Your Honor. So a lot of that comes out in my books, you know. But it's my parade. You're all invited, but it's my parade. So my parade right now is not going to have a podcast for a while.
Well, I would throw candy still, and I'm saying if you want to test it out, like I said, I'm Saturday and Sunday. If you want to take over a certain night, I'd be free for you to do that because I love these different spaces in history, like murder mysteries, what the heck really happened here, etc. You could take over a whole night's show and do it for free. I can be your sidekick.
If I'm going to do anything, I'll do like 10-minute news capsules, and I've got a face made for radio, so I'm done putting my face out there. Okay, so this is my little guy here, you know, the little PI guy with the eye.
I like him.
I'm done putting my face out there. I've had it. So if I was going to do anything, I would do a little news capsule, audio only, and I'd hide behind something like that, you know. The old-fashioned 1950s news capsule. I think that's what I would do, and I would do it on multiple.
Nice. And that was one of my favorite shows. Was you know, when Martians came to the world, and it was the whole like a thing where aliens are landing, all this shit is happening, nobody knows what the hell is going on. They think it's for real, but in reality, it was just fictitious. Could you imagine doing a first hour of a show like that?
War
And
of
you're
the
just
Worlds.
10 or yes. And I did that too. I was like, War of the Worlds. I still get tongue tied to saying that. World of the Worlds? No, War of the Worlds.
That
And that
basically
was one of the best
people were
shows.
as dumb back then as they are today. That's
And I
basically
was
what
like,
that means. I
is
mean,
this really happening?
if you're going to jump off a 30-story building over a radio show, you
Oh
might be
no.
a tweak or two away from sane. All right.
You drank too much Coke.
So, War of the Worlds was just proof positive that these people are a tweak or two away from normal, So
I agree.
I would do the 1950s newscast, little thing like that, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and that's all the crap people want to hear from me anyway. So I would just put that
And
in
I'm
there.
offering to you because, like, every week it's me, story time with me, Tessa TNT. Then I've involved paranormal videos, and then just to have that news time or whatever you'd like to do, that'd be cool. So if you want to do it, let me know, and we can do that. But
Yeah, I'll certainly keep that in mind. I have to get these shows out first, and then I'm going to take a elongated vacation. But Dave Scott comes up again. Dave
yes,
Scott.
Again. Yes, he's kind of like the scary little gnome, and it's like, how the hell did he come up again?
How is Dave? I haven't done a Dave show in a while. I've been doing shows in a while because I've been noise to the grindstone. But
He's been doing pretty good. So he invited me to one of their Las Vegas parties. I'm like, sorry, can't do it. My grandma, she's Japanese. Unfortunately, she took her dog for a walk, which was a good thing, but she was waiting for her friend, and then the dog yanked her and she got a contusion, and now she doesn't even know her name or the name of her eldest daughter. So it's kind of hardcore.
pretty bad.
Yeah, head injuries are serious. It's like, holy shit. We were worried about kidney failure, and here we go, head injuries due to Chucky, and Chucky's the best, but yeah, it's been pretty scary.
I was on 66 or 67 shows last year, and Dave's wasn't one of them because the guy he's buried. He wanted to book me like 7 months out. I'm like, Dave, you got to be kidding me. I don't know. I might not be alive in 7 months with everything I have going on.
Do you guys send out like, hey, you're going to be on the show here in like 2 weeks or some sort of reminder?
Yeah, some people get
It'd be
booked up.
hard.
Do you know of anyone else who had a hitchhiker effect?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so my daughter, and this is coming from my perspective and hers. So I met my husband. I was a single mother. I left her dad. I call him the donor, but I left him. I let him know when she was going to be born, everything. He never showed up. Then I met her dad about 2 years after she was born. I was like, hey, do you like him? What do you think? Blah, blah, blah. She's like, I really like him. I'm like, well, if you want him to be your dad, you should ask him. And so she did. But in this A-frame we were living in, she would insist that we turned off the lights and closed the doors. Strangest thing for any kid to say. So our room is here, her room is there. She wants the doors closed and the lights out. Freaking weird. Later on, we had where the doorknobs would jiggle, and I was actually fighting something. I actually tried to run out there. Everything. She used to say, you have to be quiet because Mommy E is getting mad because Baby E is trying to go to sleep. Years later, she forgot that, and then she's living in an old Catholic house. It used to be a Catholic church. Now it's her house. So she's got the Hat Man's minions, and then all of a sudden, Mama E is after her again. She hadn't seen her since she was like 2 years old. Here she is about 17, almost 18, and she sees her coming after her again. So to me, that's another hitchhiker, something that attaches to you. And continues to attack you years later. To me, that was pretty intense. And she was pretty freaked out because she's like, I haven't seen this woman in so many years, and all of a sudden there she is, like trying to steal my soul. And that's the same time the Hat Man was just like, even during the day, glancing around, you could see him going left to right, blah blah blah. You could see the little minion guy trying to hide by the couch. That was intense. It was super, super intense.
Being haunted by someone in your past describes just about every ex-girlfriend I ever had. So I'm trying to figure
Right?
how I can draw the line in the hitchhiker effect or just a psychotic bitch effect. I'm trying to figure out how I can delineate this and draw the line. But
Well,
this
she
is
was a baby when it first happened, and then she's a teenager, and it's Mama E chasing her.
this is so common, and I had no idea when I was inspired to. Like I said, people when you get into this business, like Dave Scott, I know Dave Scott, Laurie and Fenton, I know Laurie and Fenton, Laura Eisenhower, I know Laura Eisenhower. It's just there's this undercurrent of people who know one another, and this is how you can get things done. I didn't have the ability to do a show on the UFO thing or the ghost thing or the hitchhiker thing, but golly, Bob Howdy, I know somebody who could do it. So it was a quick partner, and Lorian Fenton's a great partner. She's a great chick. She's really, really smart. She's a hard worker, and I'm happy to be partnered with her. So yeah, come on the show. It'll be great. The one that I have behind that. Oh, you know what? I can't talk about that yet. I don't have legal clearance to talk about that one yet. But you're gonna love it. It's gonna be another haunting twist. So I'm finding that videos and movies and that type of thing is far more interesting than the books that I write, and it's far easier. I have more creative license to do what I want. I think I'll always write books. As a matter of fact, somebody asked me to help them write, which I don't because I don't have the time. There's more evidence on the Who Murdered Elvis thing, and they wanted me to write a third installment on it, which would be 10 years would be this year. And you know what? That's not happening. But somebody came to me with a boatload of evidence, and they begged me to write the third installment of Who Murdered Elvis. You have to pick your battles. Sometimes you can do it, sometimes you can't, and it sounds great being on shows and knowing people and this and that and the other thing, but when it's 3:00 in the morning and you're typing and you're half dead and you have to get up in 3 hours, it's not that glamorous. I'd much rather flip a video on, and interview people like you, interesting people, and have you on my show. It's much easier. It's amazing who you run into, like the Lisa Marie
I'm
story.
super surprised because you're like, it's kicking off at 12 a.m. And I'm like, no. It's much earlier than that, but I didn't put two and two together when you first said that. So I felt bad because I'm like, no, we're about to kick off right now. So I'm sorry for that little
Well, that
surprise.
adjusted my evening a little bit because I told some
You're
folks
like,
on Facebook
hell
what was
yes.
going on at midnight, and the poor people. So I don't know. They'll probably see this when it's aired sometime.
Well, if they see the ad, it shows the time, and you should be able to register it as far as your time goes. But I don't know. There's been that sort of confusion for certain different people.
Well, you know what it is when you go on Coast to Coast and you're on until 4 in the morning. 3 or 4 in the morning, especially if you're on the East Coast, because California time, it's not that bad because it's it's 9-10 o'clock there, but you're
on the East Coast.
Yeah, we're on the East Coast, so it can be, the last time I was on Coast, man, I'll tell you, I hate to do. You want to talk about tough? Try and be half dead, dragon, and have to do a question and answer thing when you're so tired you didn't even know your name. It's tough.
Oh no!
But you meet the coolest people, like Lisa Marie. I had no idea I was ever going to meet Lisa. Just fell ass backwards, So I'm stuck with a quandary. I was going through. I said about my class reunion, right? So I'm going through, and I found this girl's name, Lisa Marino. All right, who's married to one of my friends.
Not Marie, but Marino.
Right.
Yeah.
Right next to her is Lisa Marie in my phone. Do I delete that? I don't have the heart to delete
Mhm.
this. You know, it's really it's tough. It's really tough. You really don't know
I
what to
don't think
do.
I could do it either. I
You know,
just keep it.
she was cool. She was a lot of fun. I already miss her. You know, I would have talked to her about some of the things that were going on, especially some of the things that I emailed you or I popped you up in.
No, and that's what upsets me because I'm looking at this and I'm like, I need to catch up, need to do this, and all of a sudden it's like 404 error. This does not exist. I'm like, what the crack?
I sent
Seriously?
her on Facebook. I sent Tessa pictures of Lisa Marie throughout the years and the pictures of somebody on the Golden Globes. Now, based on what I've showed you, is there any doubt that that's a different person?
No, not at all. Because she's, I got a 5 head. She does as well. And then all of a sudden it's like, "Reek," like it's shrunken down. You cannot change the size of your forehead. Yes, you could do it with hair and stuff. But when you look at those pictures, there's hair there, but also the forehead is smaller. I don't
Body
know.
double? I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
But it's not, even if the nose is even wrong. And Lisa was, I think, 5'2", right? Priscilla, I think, is 5'5", 5'6". And when they're standing next to each other and this person is towering over the other one without heels, something's going on. And I know people are
Mhm.
going to call me everything but a white guy. And you know what? I'm used to it. I don't care. Don't believe me. Take it upon yourself. Go out, seek the facts, come to your own conclusions. For me, it didn't work. Even the mannerisms were wrong. She was a dainty, cute little thing. And I have to tell you something else. Um, by no means am I trying to infer that there was any relationship going on between us. It was nothing sexual. It never
No,
went.
I didn't pick that up at all. I
It
just felt like
never.
it was like an innocent, like you guys kept
Yeah,
running into each other, and she's like, "What the
yeah.
hell are you like freaking stalking me?" Because
It
I've been through that before. I'm like, how come I'm seeing you again? Are you freaking stalking me?
it never went there. It was just we were just good friends, and
Mhm.
it was just the weirdest thing. For some reason, we were meant to meet, and we were meant to be friends, and it ain't there anymore. It's really sad when something like that happens. There's more to that story, and it's money motivated. Someone out there who has more time and more authority than I do, needs to look into this Lisa Marie death with motive, means, and opportunity, which are the elements of a crime, and take a good
Mhm.
hard look around, because this is not right. There's something wrong. And I didn't say it from day one. I said it from day zero. Something's wrong. This does not add up, and it's not adding up. That ridiculous cause of death it almost insults your intelligence to come out with that. It just, I don't know. It bothers me. I wish I had the time to dig into
No,
it. I wish they would hire me to dig
it's
into it.
because like if it were your best friend or somebody else, like things concur naturally. These certain things are unnatural, and there's certain things that are tied in there that show that. So don't feel like you're crazy. A lot of us, when we, deal with the paranormal and stuff, we feel like I'm batshit crazy, but it's reality. This shit is really happening.
A
And
lot
it
of times
takes
I'll
many,
go,
many years.
yeah, I mean, a lot of times I'll go on a show, and usually I'm the first one on, but not always. Usually, I don't have to wait for somebody, but sometimes, there's a guy in front of me talking to Bigfoot on a two-way radio, and I'm sitting in back going, oh my God, how am I going to follow this guy? How am I going to follow this guy? But
Right?
I think he's nuts. But you know what? Somebody else might think I'm just as crazy. I like to fact find. That's what I like to do. You can't argue with the facts of things. And the facts don't add up. Now, I've heard a lot of talk about her getting the vaccine, and that did her in. I've heard a lot of talk about that. I don't know if there's any truth to that. I just know that you can't get there from here. There's a middle portion missing to this, where it takes 6 months to come up with a ridiculous cause of death. Nobody's buying it, and they shouldn't be selling it. They should not be pushing this. They can do better than this. I'll put them to it that way.
Well, yeah, and as far as the vaccine went, people that shouldn't have had heart attacks had heart attacks. People that shouldn't have had aneurysms had aneurysms. There's so many different people affected, and those that are affected are those that are still alive. Like, I was going to marry this person. I can't believe they died like this. Like, and as people that got the vaccination, me, I still haven't got it. Yes, I've had COVID about 3 times, I think, but I felt pretty safe doing that instead of the vax.
I never got it either, and not because it's not because I don't believe in vaccines. It's not because I don't believe in shots or inoculations. I know what the word experimental means, and they're not going to inject me with some crap that hasn't been proven. So you know what? I'll get it in 5 years. I'll wait and see what happens to all the rest of you guys.
Seriously, they're like, 90 days and under, we got to take the vax. My daughter was 1. She was pregnant with my grandson, and now he's showing effects of being autistic.
Oh.
And I'm just like, I wonder, had she not taken the vax while she was pregnant, would he be like this? So he uses sign language. He barely speaks. He's almost 2 years old. So that kind of worries me. Like, could it be the COVID vax that's doing this? And now she's going through some health issues. And it freaks me out because, like I said, my cousin brother's son, his wife he was going to marry, she died. So many different people that I've known have died from this. I'm like, I'd rather die from my own consequence, like as far as not taking it and not believing in scientific theory, even though I do love science. It's one of my favorite subjects. That's too quick, too close, too soon. Let it go for a little bit.
Again, it was pushed on us. And like I always said, what did I say earlier about the mainstream media? I hate that term, but that's true. They pushed it because they were told to push it. They have overlords who wanted this in us, and you know what? I just wasn't going to do it. And I don't roll over on command. I like to form my own opinions. My body, my choice.
Yeah.
And I'm not. I don't feel like I'm gonna waver from that. So I never got it. I never got COVID. Yeah. And you wait a minute. Your husband was in the hospital last time I knew.
Yeah.
With COVID. Now fill me in. How did that work? How do you work out?
He was dying. He was gone for months with COVID. And he's like, hey, I'll be able to talk to you tomorrow. They're going to do this ventriculation thing and blah, blah, blah. And no, you can't talk when you have a tube down your throat. So he was intubated. He was in a coma. He was down for a couple months, and he was fighting several different series of pneumonia, and it was really scary. And they're like, we're throwing everything we can at him, but we can't really say anything positive because we don't know what's going to happen. And then when he came out, he told me another story as far as the different trials and tribulations he went through. He even did a game show called What Would You Do If You Were Betty White? And Betty White died right after that, but it was pretty intriguing, the different things that happen in the spirit realm.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
COVID's a bad thing. I hope nobody gets it. I hope people who got the vaccine and thought that was the best thing for them, I hope none of them have side effects. I don't revel in other people's misery. I hope people are fit and well. I hope people are fit and well, and they continue to be so. But for my money, when that came out, and you know what? It didn't work. It didn't work. I know people who have got boosted and vaxxed and boosted and boosted, whatever. And I said, look, if I have a dog and I take it out for a rabies shot, and then another rabies shot, and another rabies shot, and another rabies shot, and the damn thing comes down with rabies, you got to start asking some questions. If this isn't a vaccine, what the hell are they putting in us? Because it clearly is not working. So,
yeah. And the original vaccination and the one that they've been giving to everyone is for the original COVID. It doesn't cover all the other series of COVID that happened. And like I was saying, I love science. I love the way that works. But this ain't working. This ain't going to go on me. It's going to happen, coach.
Something very is going on. And you know what? Both political parties pushed it.
They did. And then there's people behind the lines that were like, oh, well, Fauci said this and this and that and that, although I believe this and this and that and that. In the end, this is what he said, and this is what should happen. It is not correct. It was too fast and furious, not correct, not dynamic for the human genome.
Well, you have to finish the trial. You've got to finish the trial, and they didn't do it. And you know what? I don't know. I'm not an expert on vaccines, like I said, but I know what experimental means. You know, and you've got Fauci chasing people around, you're trying everything to get this vaccine in people. And I felt like telling them, let me make something up in my garage, convince you it's good for you, and chase you around with it and see what the hell you do. You're going to run like hell. And this is exactly what most of us did. Not all of us. And like I said, if you got the vaccine, good for you. I mean, if you feel like it was the best thing for you, good for you. For me, my body, my choice, I decided not to get it. Might I get it someday when it's refined and when it makes sense? Yeah.
Maybe.
But,
maybe if it makes sense to me, but like with my daughter and she's pregnant with my grandson, I'm just like, don't do it. Like, it's too experimental. And she's like, well, I have to do it because I have to work and this and this and that and that. And then working with babies, I'm just like, no. And now he could be autistic when in reality, he wouldn't be in the first place. So that to me is sad. I still don't know, except for different things that have shown up. Like my second eldest daughter went to babysit him and he was spinning in circles the whole time. I'm like, do you know that's a sign of autism?
Yeah.
And even Kenzie, my eldest daughter, who is the mother of this child, said, he never does that around me. Why is he doing this? I don't know. Maybe he feels comfortable to just be a spitting top for forever. To me, it's scary because he's learned sign language. He's like more, and he knows sign language, and that's pretty cool. But on the other hand,
sounds like a very intelligent boy.
Yeah, did this vaccination cause him to be like very silent? Like he'll use sign language, but he won't speak, and then he'll spin circles. Is he autistic, or is he just like, well, my mom taught me sign language, so I don't have to say shit?
Well,
I don't know yet.
He might surprise you one day. He might pop out with something fantastic.
He might like give me some whole, universal theory or something. I don't know.
I mean, even with Roosevelt, even with FDR's death, what they told us wasn't true. Our bullshit filter is full. It's full. We've had it. We're tired of being lied to. And I always tell people, the truth might hurt, but it should never be hidden. And I write to ensure that it's never, ever going to be. I'm not going to let them get away with this bullshit that they're forcing on everybody, because that's exactly what it is. The media, the politicians, they're all full of shit, and it's getting worse. And that's why I write these books.
I'm so glad you do, because I love your books. But we are at the end of our time. Can you tell our listeners where to find your books and other things as far as your writings go?
Okay, well, my books are, like I said, ebook and audiobook all the way around the world. Grab them, love them. If you want an autographed book or a physical book, the only place to get physical books are off my website, whomurderedbooks.com. 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 People like things in threes, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. So there we go. whomurderedbooks.com. Go buy yourself a book, and I'll autograph it any way you want. Thanks for having me.
I heard that theory once. I'm still waiting for my autographs. So I'm waiting for each one of the ones I read autographs, because that to me is important. Just kidding. I know you're a busy guy. I know life just throws shit at you.
You don't have autographed books?
Nope.
Well, you're going to have to give me your name and phone number. Well, I mean, your address and your phone number for other things, and I'll send you a book.
I certainly shall. I want to thank everyone who is on our We Are Paradox Media, Facebook, Spreaker, Twitter, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Go Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and wherever else beyond the Omniverse you've been listening tonight. I had a wonderful time, and I can't wait to do it again. Next weekend, we have Mr. Psychic Chris Garcia. He's going to be on Saturday. Then we have story time with me, Tessa TNT. Hope you guys enjoy it. Don't forget, we are all in this together. Together, we can make the world a little better. And together, my friends, we are Paradox Media, because without you, there is no us. Until next time, night night, love and light. Take care of my yous. Holy shnikes.
Okay, we off?
We're off Spreaker, but we're still online for other shows.
So send me your phone number, send me your address, and I'll send you anything autographed that you want.
Heck yes, that'll be awesome.
And we're, like I said, send me your phone number so I can get you to Lorian so we can get you interviewed for the show, because it's gonna be cool for sure.
Yeah, we've been texting, so it's 970 the 426 number. You've been texting, so that one works. Yeah, I'll send you all that stuff. Yeah, Sovereign Cosmic Wildman says live on YouTube. Yes, we still are live on YouTube and other places where we're live on video. But yeah, we just have to close out our Spreaker a little early because, they're pretty tired and they got to go to bed at a certain hour. But yeah, it's been awesome for sure.
Well,
Hanging out with you and talking about.
Thanks for having me. You better go attend to that little one. Sounds like they want you to tuck them in.
Yeah, it's been a while, but I'm kind of waiting. Their dad's back home now, so should be safe. But anywho's, I don't want to keep you longer than you are. I'm glad that it was before 12 o'clock your time. I'm like, holy shit. I just noticed that. I was like, oh no, that's when it should end. But yeah,
right,
I'm so grateful you were here.
I am going to run, and I think Scientologists murdered Lisa Marie. And I wasn't going to say that, but that's what I think. And I led people up to it, and I figured I'd let them come to their own conclusions. They're the mafia in Hollywood, and they're behind everything. So, with that,
Scientology, I agree with you. I went to a women's fest, and they're like, hey, can we take an eye of your pupil and all this other stuff? And they're like, here, have this book. And I took it home, and my husband's like, Scientology, what the crack are you doing? I'm like, well, I went to a women's fest, and they said, this is my future layout and stuff. And it's a whole weird thing to snag you in. It's pretty intricate.
Lisa Marie was heavy into Scientology until 2014. And then she told them to go piss up a rope because she finally figured out they're just after her money. Mm-hmm. And then after that, she fell out of favor with her mother. She fell out of favor of it. It's a long story, but I wasn't going to put on the air, and I'm never going to write a book about her. She was a sweet girl who got stuck in the middle of something that she shouldn't have been, and she was and it ain't there no more. Sad. All right, doll. Have a great night. I'll be in touch. Take care.
I love you. Have a good night. A sudden gas explosion rocked the little town of Bayfield. Neighbors were in shock and awe by the green cloud that enveloped the community.